6 was on the bottom, now we running this. Grind hard when the load gets heavy. The money was slow, but now it's steady. You boys is not ready.
It's in our islands. And our waters. It's in our artistry. And across our land. It's in our history. And our cities. It's in all our stones that stand. It's time to come and find it. It's time to come and feel it. Scotland, a spirit of its own.
Well, hello, good morning and welcome to day 2 of the British Swimming Championships 2016. If day 1 is anything to go by, then day 2 is going to be fantastic. We saw some great swims, which we'll discuss very, very shortly. But just don't forget, for the rest of the week, for the next 5 days, this is the place to be for exclusive access to all the heats and all the finals and all the results live as they happen. So every morning and every night, we expect to make sure that you are tuned in to watch the live stream, where we're getting interviews with swimmers, coaches and managers as well. A bit of backstage gossip. Now, to help me out with the backstage gossip, I have 3 times former Olympian Ross Davenport in the studio with me today. Good morning. You don't like it when I say former, do you? You want me to keep saying current Olympian, but it's not your time anymore, Ross.
It's current for another 4 months.
Okay,
So can we
you're
just leave off
that
the
so
former,
much.
yeah. Current until 4 months later.
Now, you've been doing obviously the commentary for last night, so let's talk through the events. To start off with the men's 400 metre freestyle.
The 400, what a way to start off the British Championships with a super swim from James Guy. He was under world record pace at 300 metres, just died off a little bit, but he was racing the clock and he did a fantastic time. Just missed his own British record, which he gained last year in the World Championships when he secured a silver medal.
Yeah, do you think he'll be slightly disappointed with that? I mean, we saw him just literally cruise in the heats in the morning, and last night he delivered, but he wasn't pushed so much, was he?
Yeah, his heat swim was absolutely fantastic. It was so easy. But last night he wanted to come here and swim 3:43. He came here, he swam 3:43. He's under he's under this consideration time for the Olympic Games. We expect him to be on that plane, so job done, all the boxes ticks on his point.
And obviously Jazz Carlin had a good night as well, didn't she?
Yeah, it's not Jazz's main event, 200 metres freestyle. She does have the 400 and the 800.
Which makes it so exciting to see her perform the way she did last night.
It does. It's great to see her coming back. You talked about it yesterday, coming back from illness 4 years ago, missing out on the home Olympic Games, and to come here and to swim like that will give her so much confidence. She's never made Olympic Games, so there's a lot of pressure on her. So it'll be exciting to see what she does. A lot of determination
as well. And of course, Adam Peaty, men's 100 breaststroke. What a swim! That literally the crowd were going crazy at Tollcross, weren't they?
Yeah, he's the man of the moment, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's absolutely fantastic. He's a man mountain. He's an absolute warrior, and he delivered. He delivered again. As somebody that's not been to Olympic Games before, a lot of people have already put the gold medal for the Olympics around his neck. He needed to come here. He needed to really secure his place on the team.
He
delivered with a world-class time.
And of course, we can't forget to mention a fantastic swim from Hannah Miley, a bit of a jewel in the pool with Amy Wilmot. Hannah Miley taking her 10th gold in the British Swimming Championships. Now let's take a look at the events for this morning as well, because again, we have some fantastic races going ahead. Talk me through these, Ross.
Yeah, fantastic swims this morning. We've got the women's 100 metres backstroke heat, the likes of Lauren Quigley, Lizzie Simmons, Francesca Housel is also in the mix on that one. The 200 metres butterfly heats, the women's 100 metres breaststroke, all accounts Molly Renshaw is swimming fantastically well. And the men's 100 metres backstroke, you see the likes of Chris Walker-Hebburn and Liam Tancock, and then finishing off with the women's 800.
So it's certainly been a good morning, and as I said earlier, live everything as it happens this morning on the live stream. I'm going to hand you over to our commentators. Ross is going to run upstairs, so it's Ross Davenport and Bob Ballard this morning.
Thank you, Hannah. Good morning. Welcome to Tollcross for day 2 of the British Swimming Championships, and we are very much looking forward to the programme that you've just heard mentioned. And there'll be some big names in there. You mentioned Fran Housel on the way. There'll be Lizzie Simmons, Lauren Quigley involved in the opening event, which is the 100 metres backstroke for women. And there's Ross. Come on, Ross, make your way up, boy. He's in the background. Look, hogging the limelight as ever. He's on his way. We need to time him actually, get his personal best for this week. He's stopping, shaking hands and signing autographs on the way. That's the kind of man that he is. He'll be with us shortly. On to the 200 butterfly after that. 200 butterfly, of course, is an event in which Steve Parry won a medal for Great Britain at the 2004 Athens Games. Haven't really pushed on from them. We've had some good swimmers, but not of that kind of calibre in the last 12 years. So hopefully that's going to change in due course. Right at the back end of the program, we kind of glossed over it a little bit, but we'll see Jazz Carlin in what I believe, and I'm sure she believes too, is her strongest event. She'll be doing the 400 freestyle later in the week, but the 800 freestyle is probably the event in terms of international competition where she will be the best this year. We'll see her hopefully at the Europeans, and later on, if she qualifies and gets the nomination for the Olympic Games as well. So that's to come in the session, and just wait to see what we are going to see from our breaststrokers. You heard Ross mention in passing about Molly Renshaw. There are others in there, but it's a very, very tough qualification time. It's one of the toughest of the week for the women in the 200 breaststroke. If Molly gets that time, she will be doing an incredibly fast time, and it will be one of the best times in 2016 if she gets there. So that's a lot of hard work for her to do later on in the day. The final, of course, of that is later on. The 800 freestyle, which is the last event on the programme this morning. The final of that will be tomorrow night. As ever, the 800 freestyle flips over to tomorrow. Had a quick chat with Kerry-Anne Payne earlier on. She's looking forward to going in that event. More than she was looking forward to going in the 200 freestyle, I can tell you, but she was happy to make that final. Here's the start list for heat number 1 of the women's 100 metres backstroke, and pretty much all of these, in fact, with the exception of one swimmer, born in this century. All of them either 0-0 or 0-1 swimmers. So we're looking at the cream of the crop for maybe 4 years' time, maybe 8 years' time in this lineup. So Kaylee Parker of Yeovil in 1, Harriet Perfect of Poole, let's see if she is. 3, Erin Bryce of City of Newport. 4, Tegan Drew of Plymouth Leander. Imogen McCalman of Plymouth in 5, Athena Clayson of Mount Kelly in 6, and Amelia Sansom of Wickham District in lane number 7. Having shaken hands and signed a few autographs, Ross Davenport is now in place. Hello.
The autographs are for you, Bob.
I'll be selling them later on eBay.
What a fantastic day yesterday, and what an exciting morning we have in store this morning. Some real big hitters getting into the pool, and also can't forget the junior finals and the Target Tokyo finals.
Well, let's see who's going to take the first heat of the morning. It's looking very much at this stage like it's been lane number 4, Tegan Drew of Plymouth, and she is really bursting through the field. She was up there at 50, and she's going to be up there at 100. Can anybody get in a slipstream? It seems not. Tegan Drew of Plymouth is going to take the first heat in a time of 63.81. We're getting an extra digit on here. We're actually getting thousandths of a second as well on our main screen up on the board, but on our screen in front of us, we've just got to the 1:04.76 for Erin Bryce, behind the 1:03.81 of Tegan Drew. So Tegan Drew of Plymouth Leander, fastest time in that first heat of 63.81. There will be, in total, 7 heats of the 100 backstroke to come. That's the first target time of the morning, 63.81.
It's always nice to start the morning session with a PB over a second PB. So It's a good start to the morning procedures.
Let's
See
start
if
for John Rudd as well.
Yeah, Plymouth are certainly a club, or certainly a centre that over the last 4 years, should we say, have really come into their own and really developed some world-class swimmers.
On to heat number 2 then. And as it's 100, I'll try and get these out of the way as quickly as I can. That's your 1 to 8, so all the lanes occupied. And we'll name a few for you. Catherine Henderson of Nova in 1. Caitlin Bergin of Stockport in 2. Kiana Campbell-Grady of Leeds in 3. Alexandra Waller of Heart of Midlothian in 4. So I can do a football result then. 5, Hannah Jones of Stockport Metro. Isabel Jones of Millfield in 6. Madeline Dyer of City of Sheffield in lane number 7. And in 8, it is Alicia Wilson of Guildford. So that's the 1 to 8 in the heat number 2 of the 100 backstroke.
All in a line in the opening 25 metres. Some great starts coming in lane 8, 7 and 6. All these swimmers will be looking to get into their respective finals later on this evening.
We're looking at, sorry, Ross, we're looking at 15, 16, 17 at most years of age in this field for heat number 2 of the 100 backstroke. And at the moment, there's about 3 or 4 in the line. No, it really is getting to the front of the field. It might just be the blue cap of Hannah Jones in lane number 5 is at the front of the field.
Yeah, the halfway mark, only 0.6 separating all 8 swimmers, but that's starting now to disperse, and it is the swimmer in lane number 5 from Stockport Metro, Hannah Jones. It just looks like she's got her nose in front, but a fast finishing from lane 6.
Yeah, very fast. Isabel Jones might well take this, and Isabel Jones has taken it in 64.07 in the end. It was 13/100ths of a second separating Isabel Jones in first and Hannah Jones in second. So Millfield takes it over Stockport this time. Third place going to Kiana Campbell-Grady in 104.60. And I think Sean Kenny might be a little bit annoyed with the finish there, because she seemed to have that one wrapped up and just got out-touched.
Yeah, it's just the momentum from the Millfield swimmer. Isabel Jones just carrying on that speed into the last 5 metres and getting her hand on the wall. Only 17/100ths of a second separating, but still, the time from the first heat is the fastest so far of the first swimmers.
Yeah, it was quick. And we normally expect the heats by heat to get faster, but that wasn't the case there. 63.07 played 64.07, so actually a second slower than the opening one.
It's a great feeling as a swimmer. If you post a time in an early heat and you're walking round into the mix zone or into the swim down pool and you're still seeing that your time is top of the rankings, gives you so much confidence.
There's the lineup for heat number 3 of the 100 backstroke for women. Rachel Wellings of City of Peterborough, Lily Bosley of Nova Centurion in 2, Danielle Baker of Mount Kelly in 3, Chelsea Lawson of Edinburgh in 4, Chloe Barkley of West End Barton in 5, Molly Allen of City of Peterborough in 6, Eleanor Mitchell of London Aquatics in 7, and Kiara Barber of Hillingdon in 8.
Great start from Molly Allen in lane number 6 from City of Peterborough. Not taking the whole 15 metres, but was so quick underwater, and she's popped up in front. Also going very, very well in lane number 2 is Lily Bosley from Nova Centurion.
Great start by Molly Allen, who should be leading at the 50. No, slightly out-touched, only just by the aforementioned Lily Bosley of Nova Centurion. Molly Allen had the best start of the field, but she wasn't leading at the 50. There's very little to choose between them as they come towards the 25-metre marker.
Yeah, it's not the quickest in the field that are leading at the minute. It is between lane number 2 and lane number 6. So we'll just have to see who's got that momentum going into the final 15 metres.
Well, it looks like we're looking at lane number 2 coming through very, very strongly indeed. Lily Bosley's going to get there before everybody else, and does in 102.79. So quickest of the morning so far. Second place going to Molly Allen in 103.43. And third place going to Chelsea Lawson in 103.55. So quickest of the morning so far for the swimmer from Peterborough.
Lily Bosley from Nova Centurion actually getting that touch. Almost 2 seconds improvement on her entry time.
Yep, the Nova Centurion swimmer, I should have said, rather than Peterborough. She was in the mix. There she is in second place.
She might have come from Peterborough once upon a time. She might have been there.
Might have gone shopping there,
yeah, maybe.
all we know. On to the 4th heat. And we have 3 more after this to come. of the 100 backstroke. We'll get into the names that many of you will recognise more very shortly. The likes of Elise Simmons will be in there. We'll see Fran Halsall. We'll see Lauren Quigley as well.
Looks like having some difficulty with the starting wedge. Introduced a couple of years ago on backstroke. Obviously the wedge on the blocks was introduced probably 5 or 6 years ago, and now the starting wedge for backstrokers was introduced I think about 2 years ago now.
It looks like something you might be able to buy on QVC, doesn't it? The slicer and dicer. Yeah. Only $17.99 plus P&P. But it's in place.
It's a great experience for these swimmers to have this kind of thing happen before their race, because this is something that can happen when they go to either the European Juniors, the World Championships, or even the Olympic Games. And if these things are not eradicated.
As I've been pointed out by my producer, it's a TSV for today. If that's somebody who watches QVC all the time, you can tell, can't you? Dead giveaway that was. Harriet West of Loughborough in 1, Anna Newlands of Stockport in 2, Cassie Wilde of Ellesmere in 3, Emma Saunders, City of Manchester Aquatics in 4, Karen Reid, South Ayrshire in 5, Chantel Austin of Bath in 6, Faye Nugent of Loughborough in 7, and Sophia Rittenhouse of William and Mary in 8.
We see yet again all in a line going under the backstroke flags at 45 metres. Let's have a look on the scoreboard to see who's turning first. It does look like it could be one of the outside lanes. Yes, it is. It is lane number 8. That's Sophia Rittenhouse. And she turns in a time of 30.63.
Still going strongly in the lane closest to us on your screen, but keep an eye on the far side who's going to come through in lane 4, particularly seeded next one. But lane 4, Emma Saunders is bursting through the pack here. Emma Saunders looking to go all the way to the wall in first place. Rittenhouse just running out a little bit of steam. It is going to be lane number 4 that's going to take it for Emma Saunders in 1:02.63. Second place, Sophia Rittenhouse keeping that momentum going all the way to the wall. And third place in that race. For a third, I can't see. Yes, at the top of the board there, Harriet West in 1:03.27. Remember, only top 8 will qualify for the final tonight.
So with 3 heats to go, the fastest 3 heats that we'll add, it still is Lily Bosley from Nova Centurion with the fastest time so far this morning, 62.29. So stands her in good stead for some kind of final tonight. Let's see if she can get into the championship final. It will be a hard task, you know, there is some quick girls coming up.
Yeah, we've got 3 finals to come as ever with all of these events. Does that mean the 800 free as well, is it? Does that mean we're going to get 3 finals of the 800 free?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So all the events, 800 free. And this is heat number 5 of the women's 100 metres backstroke. And the ball winner, City of Derby in 1, Chloe Golding of Ellesmere in 2, Georgia Homan of Nottingham Leander in 3, Elizabeth Simmons, Lizzie Simmons in lane number 4 for Bath University these days, Kathleen Dawson of Warrington in 5, Charlotte Evans of Loughborough in 6, Tasmin Pugh of Ellesmere in 7, Rebecca Sherwin in lane 8. Now, I always thought of Lizzie more of a 200 swimmer than a 100 swimmer, but she does kind of enjoy having the splash and dash of the 100.
Yeah, she certainly does. She's great at the 200 metres backstroke, but also is a very quality 100 metres backstroke. You can see straight from the start that Elizabeth Simmons and Kathleen Dawson coming up first, and they are the 1 and 2 at the halfway mark. Lizzie Simmons just ahead, 3/100 a second, turning 29.38. Kathleen Dawson 29.41. And it is these 2 girls that are spearheading this heat number 5, with Lizzie Simmons now starting to make a move around about half a body length ahead.
And what a prodigious talent she was at the age of 13 when she first burst on the scene. Great junior, has done some great things as seniors. Only just missed out on a medal in London 2012 in the 200, but she's going to take this heat of the 100 in 60.29. By some way the quickest of the morning. Kathleen Dawson did track her all the way though, 60.70 for her, and third to Georgia Homan in 62.63. Good chance we'll be seeing all 3 of them in the final tonight. Say the top 2 should be in there, and a decent swim for Lizzie Simmons in the morning.
Yeah, very nice hit out for Elizabeth Simmons. I say her main event is the 200 metres backstroke, but if she could qualify for or get under the consideration time for the 100, that would be a huge weight off her mind. She's a confident swimmer, so when she's very confident, she swims very, very fast. When the pressure's on and she doesn't know what kind of state of mind she's in, that's when sometimes we can see these up and down performances, but that was a fantastic race.
Would we expected Georgia to go a bit quicker there? Possibly. Based in America, of course, she is these days.
Yeah, Georgia Homan in lane number 3, 62.6. Probably expect to go a little bit quicker, but yet again, you know, her chances are in that 200 metres backstroke.
Right, here come two of our big hitters. Maybe our two biggest hitters these days in the 100 backstroke, side by side. Coming up in 6 and 7. Georgia Davis followed by Lauren Quigley next. And of course, Fran Hausel will want to spoil the party as well, and she'll be in that final heat. But Georgia Davis for Loughborough going in lane number 4. Expect good things from her and hopefully great things from her. Always a great start. She takes full use of that 15, but she doesn't come up in first place.
No, she doesn't. And you look at the different technique as well. Georgia Davis tends to have a higher stroke rate, and actually it looks like she's slowed that down a little bit. Probably, we've seen her in the past, she is the real quick 50-metre backstroke, and her stroke rate is so high on the 50, and she normally tends to bring that into the 100. But she looks like she's just probably slowed that stroke rate down a little bit to give her that back end and to make her more efficient as she goes through the water. But a fantastic turn, and again, a perfect spearheaded formation we're seeing here in heat number 6 with Georgia Davis out in front.
Well, she's dominating this race. Can we see somebody knock on the 60 mark? We saw almost 61 last time. Georgia aiming for the 60 mark if she can get there, and she's just outside it. 60.60 for Georgia Davis, winning that comfortably though, winning it by 3/4 of a second from Jessica Fullerlove and Anna Main for Woking in third place. Fastest time of the morning is Lizzie Simmons at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, still Lizzie Simmons.
60.29.
About 0.4 quicker than the rest. We talk about 0.4. It's such a small margin, but for these swimmers, it's like a lifetime. If you lose by 0.4, you're thinking, where on earth can I gain that up? And it's, it does come down to small margins, but Lizzie Simmons will be walking around, going down for her swim down now, with an eye on the scoreboard, feeling pretty pleased with herself with 1 heat to go.
Yeah, she's as good as in. It'd be a big surprise if she's not. And that also applies to Georgia Davis as well. There will be 2, maybe 3 coming from this heat, or should be. I'll give you the lineup when the board revolves. Still waiting for the result of the last heat to disappear from the board before we can start, because the system has not been reset yet, which means the swimmers will need to be held for a moment. There is the result confirmed. No DQs on there either. Not quite sure why there was such a delay, but we are ready to start in 100 backstroke. Number 7, Katie Latham of Thanet goes in 1. Jaeger Turner of City of Salford in 2. Harriet Cooper of City of Derby in lane number 3. Lauren Quigley, who is the quickest in the field, goes in 4. Fran Hausel will be trying to usurp her if she can in 5. Kirsty Simpson of City of Aberdeen in 6. Lucy Hope of Edinburgh in 7. And Eleanor Southard of Ellesmere County in lane number 8. So how is this one starting to shape up? Yeah, I'm not surprised. Fran Hausel taking it out very fast. Yeah,
brilliant start. Came up around about half a metre above anybody else. And this is where the traditional backstrokers are going to start to come in their own. But we talk about Fran being a freestyler. She's incredibly good on the backstroke, turning in 29.23, so slightly faster than Lizzie Simmons at the halfway mark, and she wants to come here and spoil the party for sure.
She does, keeping an eye, as she can do on backstroke, on what's happening with Lauren Quigley. Just playing possum a little bit here. She's certainly not exerting herself. She's doing what she needs to do, and she's coming in nice and comfy. Lauren Quigley likewise. They know they've got plenty in reserve to qualify for the final. They both will. And Fran gets the closest, well, not quite closest. Lizzie Simmons will be the fastest going into that final, because Fran Hausel's done a 60.40, very measured swim by Lauren Quigley, 61.62. She probably looked at the field and knew exactly what she had to do and did it. And Kirsty Simpson with a 62.12. We'll give you the finalists for that as soon as the board revolves. Just confirmation there's no DQs in the final heat of the 100 backstroke, and then hopefully the board will revolve in a moment. I can give you the 1:28 for tonight. So the fastest qualified definitely is Lizzie Simmons, and Fran Hausel in second place. Just waiting for all the tabulations and confirmations. We actually don't have the 1:28 on the screen for you, but I think we can safely assume that all the people we expected to be there will be there later on today.
When you look at the likes of Lizzie Simmons going 60.2, George Davis 60.6, and Fran 60.4, to put that into some kind of perspective, the last Olympic trials, which was held in obviously the Aquatic Centre in London, was won in 60.1. So that's how much, again, British swimming is moving forward, and these girls are trying to drag this 100 metres backstroke with it, and they're posting times in the morning that were not far away from coming the top 3 in the last Olympic trials.
Well, some big names in the mix there. Names that we are very, very familiar here with at British Swimming. Francesca Halsall, Elizabeth Simmons, Georgia Davies as well, all qualifying later on for the final tonight. Don't forget the finals sessions are going to be live from here, from the live stream as well. Now, if you are wanting to get some tickets to come to Tollcross International Swimming Centre, it's very simple and easy. We have about 100 tickets available for every single evening for the final session. So if you do want to be here, then obviously make sure that you get onto the British Swimming website, take a look and buy your tickets to be here. It's a fantastic atmosphere. But now I'm going to hand you over to the guys, Ross and Bob, for our next event.
Can confirm, by the way, that Georgia Homan did not make that final, which is a bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a surprise. She's come over from America, trains in Florida, would have certainly expected to make the final. Okay, 200 is the best event, so we'll have to see how she prepares for that and puts her mind back in race mode and comes back stronger later on in the week.
On to the next event in the programme. Just waiting for everything to be changed on the board because it's still got the women's 100 backstroke with 3 men in there, so I don't think that's quite the case. 200 butterfly, not on our screen, it has to, by the way. This is in the venue, but we've got it right on the screen. Actually, have we? No, we haven't. Not quite. Never mind. Don't worry. It's Samuel Jones, Jacob Greenoff, and Jack Toe who are going in the first heat of the men's 200 butterfly. It's definitely butterfly, and it's definitely 200. And this is definitely Ross Davenport.
And they're definitely men as well.
And they certainly are.
Yeah. But one of the hardest events on the programme, 200 metres butterfly, certainly separates the men from the boys. And it's a great start from lane number 4, Jacob Greenough from Taunton Deane, 27.55. It's one of those races where that piano can fall on your back at any point.
And Elton John is not playing it. It's strictly something you want to get out of the way as quickly as possible in the 200, and certainly the age groups we're talking about here. It means even more suffering for the youngsters as they work their way. I'm not quite sure what anybody would choose as a stroke of choice, a butterfly, but these have, and maybe the coaches have chosen it for them. Jacob Greenough is leading for Taunton Deane at 59 dead at 100. Second place to Samuel Jones, a pioneer, and Jack Toe in third place. Probably Jack is struggling a little bit there in lane number 5. And it looks like the person who's trying to dominate this race as best he can is Jacob in lane 4.
Yeah, really quick first 100 for Jacob, 59.00. His entry time is 2:08.92. So as long as he keeps his momentum going, hopefully he'll be in under his entry time. Just starting to fade a little bit now on that third 50. And these two are certainly a long way away from Jack Toe from City of Sheffield. He is the youngest swimmer, Jack, so not going to be racing the older lads for a couple of years.
Well, you can hear the trump call now. The elephant has arrived. And Jack Greenough is trying to prevent it from stopping him too much. Samuel Jones coming back towards him, but there's a body length, just about a consistent body length between first and second. There's the touch in 2:06.44. Winning time for Jacob. Second, Samuel Jones and Jack Toe with a 2:12.00 in the first of the heats of the 200 butterfly.
2.5 second improvement on the entry time. They say it was a fast 100 metres going through in 59.00, so managed to hold on to that and just bring it home nice and strong. It's a brilliant time. 2.5 seconds improvement. It's not what the swimmers want to see when they're standing behind the blocks, having seen somebody in the previous heat go and smash their entry time.
We'll get 5 going to start here in the second heat of the 200 butterfly for men. Joel Weston of City of Leicester goes in 3. Jordan Gaskell of Winsford in 4. Frederick Cornwall of Plymouth Leander in 5. Matthew George of City of Salford in 6. And Nathan Hughes of Hatfield. Had a good day yesterday, as I recall. Nathan Hughes back for the butterfly today.
Yeah, had a great day yesterday. Probably one of the standout performances from the junior swimmers on that 400 metres freestyle. Punishing himself this morning on a 200 metres butterfly. So look out for him in lane 7. He is in form. He's one of the slower swimmers in this heat. But having said that, they're all separated by around about half a second anyway. So this is anybody's race.
Well, it's a very good start, but remember it's 200 metres, so don't necessarily look at the 50 and think that's where it's going to turn out, because the last 50 is what's really important in the butterfly. Make sure you've got something in reserve. And Nathan Hughes at the moment is powering away. If he was on 100 here, you'd expect him to win it from here, but he's got another 100 to go when he turns next time. In the centre of the pool, seeing where the challenge is coming from. Jordan Gaskell in 4 and Frederick Cornwall in 5, but yeah, still just about in front, but not by as much. It's Nathan Hughes at 100. He'll turn in under the minute, 59.98 for Nathan Hughes. It's going to be a big PB if he keeps going at this speed. Second place, Jordan Gaskell, and third, Matthew George.
Yeah, slightly slower than the previous heat at the halfway mark, 59.00, opposed to 59.98. If Nathan Hughes swims his 200 metres butterfly like he swam his 400 freestyle last night, he came back on that last 50 absolutely storming. And he can't rest on his laurels here. He has to produce a good time because there's plenty of heats to come.
Well, he's definitely going for broke here. He's not holding back. He can't hold back, as you mentioned. He needs to keep going for it, and at the moment he's just in front. It's about half a second, actually about a third of a second now between him and Matthew George, but he's not making any inroads yet. Matthew George in the adjoining lane, and still just about there with the last 15 to come. Now, can Matthew George overtake Nathan Hughes on this last 15? It's going to be very tight between the two of them, but I think Nathan Hughes has been a front runner all the way from start to finish, or is he? It's going to be mighty tight. Who's going to get the touch? It's just Matthew George, and that was only 17/100ths of a second between first and second there. The only time that Matthew George led that race was right on the touch. 2:06.77 plays 2:06.94 for Nathan Hughes, and third place going to Jordan Gaskell. How are we looking on the PB front with those two?
Both around about a 2-second improvement on their entry time, but it just shows you that momentum as you're coming into the final 5 metres. Nathan Hughes was leading the whole way. Doesn't matter who's leading at 50, 100, 150. All that matters is who touches the wall first at the 200, and that was Matthew George from City of Salford. Improvement and a fantastic swim, a well-paced race.
Indeed, 2:06.77 the winning time. 2:06.94 for Nathan Hughes, who will be feeling that after doing the 400 yesterday, and he's given himself, well, outside chance of making that final a little later on. But
are you speaking from experience, having done a 400 one night and then coming back for a 200
I have done
fly?
And I followed up with a 1500 on the third day, amazingly, in my dreams.
I was going to say, I'm going to start calling you Pinocchio.
My nose is big enough already. Thank you very much indeed, Ross Davenport. Just waiting for this result to be confirmed, because it hasn't been confirmed yet on the board. So, yeah, everything's fine, everything's clear. That's good. We don't want any DQs, and we don't have any in there, so that's good news. 2:06.77 stands for Matthew George and Nathan Hughes in second. Right, on to the next heat of the 200 butterfly, heat number 3. We have a full contingent here, with Harry Lewis Mitchell of Stockport in 1, James Baxter in 2. I'll give you a little recap once we're underway. With Joshua Riesbeck of Doncaster Darts in 3, Aaron Hill, Warrington 4. A couple of Plymouth Leander swimmers side by side, so it'll be a bit of bragging rights for those two. Sam Daly and Freddie Clampett 5 and 6. Harrison Coulter. So I recall that's James Gillard's cousin going in lane 7, and Thomas Downs of Exeter City going in lane 8. Heat number 3 of the 200 fly, which is an event that Mr. Gillard used to do himself.
Did he?
Occasionally.
Occasionally. Occasionally. Yeah, certainly James was a very good IM swimmer, and he probably had this in his programme just to practice that front end. If you look at the entry times of Heat 3, they're all slower than the previous winners from the other heats. So these guys want to be in those contentions for the junior and the Tokyo final, or if anyone's got aspirations of being in that championship final, they're going to have to beat the previous 2 heats. It's a fantastic start from lane number 6, Freddie Clampett from Plymouth Leander. Plymouth just always tend to have a great meet, and like I said, that confidence of the last 4 years, obviously Ruta winning the Olympic Games 4 years ago on the 100 metres breaststroke, Anthony James on the fly, they've got Ben Proud on the 100 freestyle. They're starting to get a real quality, world-class squad together.
Good turns as well. I know something that John Rudd drills into his swimmers to get those turns right. Starts very important as well, but particularly those turns. And it was a good one from Freddie Clampett, but he's now being tracked by his teammate Sam Daly in lane 5. So 6 and 5 having their own little club meet here, because they're going to be 1 and 2 going into the wall by the looks of things. They are, and not much of a distance between them, just 7 100ths of a second with 50 to go. Clampett leads Daly.
And around about 0.7 quicker than the previous heat, so this is so far faster than the times that the other guys have posted. So if they carry on that form, they'll be looking to post around about 2:05 high, 2:06, but it's all about who's got the gas or who's got the energy in the tank. It does look like it is going to be lane number 5, Sam Daly from Plymouth Leander.
Yeah, so we have Plymouth 1-2 here with Daly just edged out by Freddie Clampett in the end by 5 100ths of a second. Again, that was right on the touch, almost immeasurable. Luckily we have a clock to do that, we have a touchpad to do that for us, because visibly it looked like Sam Daly was going to win it, but Freddie Clampett gets the touch first, and 2:05.51 up against 2:05.56. James Baxter was finishing very strongly. Let's keep an eye on him on the far side of the pool, finishing in 2:06.33. Just left it a bit too late. I think he looked to have a little bit in reserve there. If he'd been doing 250, he would have won that race, I think, but just left it a little bit too late.
Yeah, he certainly did. Freddie Clampett as well, going 2 seconds faster than his entry time, so he's keeping that tradition of the first 3 heats of improvement by 2 seconds. So let's see if we can carry that going.
On to the next heat, the 4th heat of the 200 butterfly. And like we had 2 Plymouth swimmers side by side, we have 2 first swimmers from the first club, that is. In 1 and 2 for this one, Callum Laurie and Mark Elric. And Dominic Wooldridge of Exeter City. Rushmore represented by George Emmons in 4. Loughborough, Craig Munden in 5. Jacob Peters of Poole. I counted those, by the way. 7 is Murray Cousilant of Aberdeen. And Jacob Jackson of Ellesmere is in lane 8.
An early pace setter is going to be the swimmer in lane 8. It's Jacob Jackson from Ellesmere College. Have a great programme in Ellesmere, coached by Alan Bircher, former international open water swimmer. Starting to get a group of really good age group swimmers. Tasman Pugh, of course, is there, and he is outside Burner so far in lane number 8, but it's incredibly close between 3, 5 and 6.
Well, and also lane 8, so you've got 3, 5, 6 and 8, and in fact it's 8 who's just in front. Jacob Jackson just in front, but we're only talking about 18 100ths over Jacob Peters, and then Craig Munden in 3rd and Dominic Wooldridge in 4th place. This is one of those wide open races, and keep an eye also on Callum Laurie on the far side from the first club. He's coming back into the mix as well now.
He certainly is. The guys were turning around about a second quicker than Freddie Clampett, so he ended up going 2:05.5. So let's see if they've gone out too quick or if they've paced it really well.
5 of them virtually in a line here. Jacob Jackson, Jacob Peters, Craig Munden, then Dominic Wooldridge, and Callum Laurie has had a very good 50. He really went on a burst there, but I think he might be paying for it now.
Yeah, it does look like it, but it really is Jacob Jackson's race. He is led from start to finish, but he is being challenged by Jacob Peters from Poole in lane number 6, and he might have just gone into the lead, and he certainly has.
Lane 6 is going to take it. Jacob Peters is going to get to the wall just before Jacob Jackson in a time of 2:03.41. Plays 2:03.69. Again, much closer than it looked visibly when they touched the pad there. Third place going to Callum Laurie, so he held on very well. He was fifth at 150. And third at the finish, 2:04.98 for Callum Laurie. And all those times are now confirmed with George Emmons finishing in 2:05.88.
3-second improvement from Jacob Jackson from Ellesmere College. 2-second improvement from Jacob Peters. So these guys are certainly improving on their entry time significantly in this first or second morning heat.
Of course, we have to look for some future boys, because no Michael Rock around anymore. Michael Rock was very much the bedrock of 200 butterfly swimming in recent times. He's now no longer in the mix. So we're looking for some people to take his place and move the 200 butterfly on in the UK. Bicester. Bicester. Kieran Bird in lane 1. Fraser Lowther of University of Stirling in 2, Thomas Payne of Manchester in 3, Michael Gunning of London Aquatics 4, Sam Horrocks of Manchester in 5, Kevin Wallbank of Loughborough goes in 6, Callum Reid of Warrender in 7, and Julian Chan Kui Lin of Mount Kelly in lane number 7. Very impressive start by Michael Gunning and also by Sam Horrocks, who leads at the first 50.
Yeah, the first heat of the big boys, shall we say. Fantastic start and turn from Sam Horrocks from City Manchester Aquatics. He does turn first, his nose ahead of Michael Gunning from London Aquatic Centre, and it is these two now that are almost stroke for stroke. He's coming into the opening 100 metres.
Also, visibly, you see the strength of the swimmers as we get into the cyclically seeded ones. You just see they're a lot stronger in there, and it's a development thing, isn't it, butterfly, when you get your body prepared for it, and they just look like they're coasting through the water a little bit easier than some of the previous heats we have seen. And it's a good head-to-head at the moment. Well, head-to-head actually now, because Sam Horrocks, Michael Gunning has been joined by Thomas Payne of Manchester in lane 3, and all three of those pretty much in a line, although just with maybe about half a body length advantage. It is lane number 4 now. Michael Gunning is going to get to the wall first. Yes, 1:27.92. It's about a third of a second or so ahead of Horrocks, and coming strongly Thomas Payne.
And a great third 50. Michael Gunning really took the scruff of the neck of this race to Sam Horrocks, but Sam Horrocks has got fantastic starts and turns, and he did bring himself level out of that third turn, but it is Michael Gunning that's got a lot left in the tank. He is the fastest on paper in this heat, and it looks like he's going to take heat number 5.
Well, we're looking for our first sub-2-minute swim of the morning, and is it coming here? It is 1:59.79 for Michael Gunning. Sam Horrocks, the early leader, finishing in 2:00.64. Third place to Thomas Payne, so the 1:23 at 150 finished that way in 200, and fourth to Callum Reid in 2:02.49. That's your 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 200 butterfly heat number 5.
Lovely pacing from Michael Gunning. Like I said, he wasn't winning at the 100 metre, but he really took it to the rest of the field down that third 50, came up strong and finished it off really nicely. First time under 2 minutes for this morning heat, and we do have a disqualification, as you can see on the screen.
Fraser Lowther of University of Stirling, sadly not making it back in terms of how the judges saw it, so he will not have a time register. 2 more heats to come, yeah. And we have some big names now, and the name of Jay Lelliott in the middle of the pool. Here comes the 1 to 8, and Jay Lelliott we kind of associate with, saw him in the 400 freestyle yesterday, 1500 later this week. Here he is doing a bit of mix and match. He's doing the 200 butterfly up against the likes of kind of specialists in this, in Mark Zoranek and Matt Johnson in lane 5, and Joe Litchfield as well, the kind of people you expect to be in a butterfly race. Is he doing this for fun, or is this a future plan for Jay, do you think?
No, certainly one of his strong points. The 200 metres butterfly is the second fastest qualifier, or second fastest on paper, and these heats.
So here we go with Ryan Brown of City of Glasgow in 1, Joe Litchfield of Doncaster Darts in 2, Mark Zoranek of Edinburgh in 3, Jay Lelliott The aforementioned in 4, 2 Bath swimmers side by side with Jay Elliott in 4, Matt Johnson in 5, Adam Mallet of Swansea going in lane 6, Jamie Ingram of Daventure in 7, and George Epsley of Basildon in 8. It's given us time to get the first 50 out of the way. Matt Johnson just ahead of Jay Elliott.
Yeah, 6/100ths of a second separating the teammates from Bath University. It is Matthew Johnson getting his hand on the wall first, but closely followed by Jay Elliott. Jay had a fantastic swim last night in the 400 metres freestyle lifetime best, 3:47, just being pipped into that bronze position.
It's been a great find by Bath. He's one of those they've unearthed who hasn't kind of come through the normal program, and he was there, bit of a rough time, and they've knocked him into shape, and great shape it has been indeed, as Mark Zoranek now getting into the mix of things, and that he had a really great turn, didn't he? Zoranek basically behind in 3rd place, and now is moving up to certainly the shoulder of Jay Elliott, if not in front of him.
Yeah, there's a majority of his training out in the States, and as you can see, the US swimmers are so technically great. And just watch now on this turn, Jay's turn, he's coming from a freestyle background, so his turns aren't as good as these historic butterfly swimmers, but a fantastic turn actually, having said that, from Jay, and he's popped up out in front, and now he's going to be heading home with the final 25 metres, get a lane for tonight's final, but Mark Zoranek is not letting him go by any means.
Well, Mark Skimming will be delighted if he can bring this back home, and his coach will be watching him come into the wall to win heat number 6 of the 200 butterfly in a time of 1:58.90 for Jay. Second for Mark Zoranek in 1:59.29. 3rd place to Adam Mallet, 1:59.98. Matt Johnson just fading a little bit into 4th place with 2:004.40.
Nice swim from Jay and also from Mark, getting themselves well in the mix. Currently the fastest 2 swimmers of the morning heat so far, with 1 heat to go.
Yeah, target time then 1:58.90 for Jay Elliott. As we go on to the final heat of the men's 200 butterfly, Cameron Brodie is in lane 4, fastest on paper in this field. Flanked either side by Luke Howdle of City of Sheffield and Sean Campsey of Sterling Swim, given mention to the others, because we may not mention them again today. Matthew Donville of Warrington in 1, Thomas Bealey of Aberdeen in 3. In 6 is Carl Chisholm of the Borough of Kirklees. Beckenham's Luke Gunning goes in lane number 7, and Thomas Howell of Nova Centurion goes in lane number 8. First 50 then completed. No Sean Campsey, he's withdrawn from the lineup, so we have 7 out of 8 in the pool. And it's Cameron Brodie, as we kind of expected it would be, dominating things here and looking incredibly smooth and incredibly strong. And trying to stop him now is going to be a big task for everybody else around him, because he's already got couple of body lengths advantage, and he's stroking, he's not holding anything back in the heats here. Maybe he will on the final 50, knowing that he's made the time, but that's a good split. 55.37. Cameron Brodie, Luke Howdle in 2nd place for City of Sheffield, but this man's going to be very hard to catch. Nobody eating into that lead yet. Watching for Matt Donville of Warrington on the far side, who's coming back into the mix, but nobody surely at this pace and with this effort is going to catch Cameron Brodie. Looking very, very good indeed, the University of Stirling swimmer. And what's the gap with 50 to go? It is almost 2 seconds between Brodie and Luke Howdle. Donville's in 3rd. That's where it's really starts to hurt, but Cameron Brodie has broken the back of the field, or has he? Yes, he has. 25 to go. Looking okay. Can't afford to turn the afterburners off just yet, because he has got Luke Howdle still bearing down on him. The gap is not as big as it was with 50 to go, but still sufficient for Cameron Brodie to get there very comfortably indeed, in a time of 1:59.68. Looks like it's going to be a bit quicker early on, but 1:59.68 will get the job done for Cameron Brodie. Luke Howdle in second place, third going to Matthew Donville. So 2:02.43 for him. Howdle in 2:00.86. There are a lot of anxious eyes up the screen now, see who's made it. We'll give you the 1 to 8 if we can before we go back to Hannah. We've got the confirmation of the result there. Did not start at the bottom there, of course. And we will have the qualification places for you any second now. Waiting for the board to revolve in the venue. And Jay Elliott, Mark Zoranek, Cameron Brody, Michael Gunning, Adam Mallet, Matt Johnson, all making it through. They are the top 6 to qualify for the final.
Keep your tweets coming into us. Hashtag BSC16. Remember, all you have to do is send a picture like Craig Oliver has, and we'll try and put them up on the board behind us. And you can win yourself a brand new camera as we move on to our next event, which will be the women's 200 metres breaststroke heats.
And we're moving on to the next event. Having got the boys out of the way with the 200 plus, we're going to move to the 200 breaststroke. Yeah, 200 breaststroke up next for women. I'll say it's an event that you may have heard us say a few times as the starting line for heat number 1, by the way, which has 7 going to start. It's an event that we're still waiting for it to move on a little bit more. The likes of Molly Renshaw might be the kind of person to do it. Maybe see that from Chloe Tutton possibly. Look at the faster swimmers coming up later in the programme. 1 to 8 for the 200 breaststroke heat number 1. Alicia Wilson of Guildford in 1. Miranda Bauer of Burnley going in 2. Chloe Edridge of Street in 3, Chanel Snedden of First in 4, Charlie Nielsen of Nova Centurion in 5, Annabelle Guy Johnson of the Monton Club going in 6, and Rebecca Kamal of Birmingham in lane number 7. For around about, well, for the best times, hoping to get around about the 2:24s, 2:25s, that kind of thing. Maybe we'll see a couple of 2:30s this morning, just give them a bit of a platform for later on today. Very impressive start by Rebecca Camo of City of Birmingham, who really is giving this a really good effort in lane number 7, and she'll have an advantage about a couple of body lengths in terms of time, almost 2 seconds before Annabelle Guy Johnson hit the wall. And can she keep up this momentum? Can she keep that flow going for the whole 200? Looking good, because there are, on paper, faster swimmers in the centre of the pool in entry times than she. But at the moment, no doubting who is tops at the moment. Just to have a quick look at her entry time. And Rebecca comes in with a 2:37.69. There's a 2:36 from Chanel Snedden in lane 4, but this is impressive stuff. Very impressive stuff from Rebecca Camus in lane number 7. Terrific stuff, and she's keeping it going, and nobody seems to be getting anywhere near to her right now, although Annabelle Guy Johnson, who's been her closest adversary, is now coming alongside her. Oh, it'd be a real shame if she doesn't go on to win this, because she's dominated it for 175 metres, but now she's going to be headed going into the wall and just nothing left in the tank now for Rebecca Camus, who's going to be beaten by Annabelle Guy-Johnson. 2:33.51. Good times by both, though. Really good times. 2:33.51 for Annabelle. 2:34.99 for Rebecca. Rebecca was basically the pace setter all the way through to 175 metres. And then Annabelle says, thanks very much, I'll take over now.
That's the importance of pacing a race really well. Lifetime best, or certainly the improvement on her entry time. Some 4 seconds.
Yeah, both of them swam exceptionally well there, and it was quite nice to have a marker there for her, wasn't it? All the way through, so she knew what to do. On to heat number 2 of the women's 200 breaststroke. That's your lineup, 1 to 8. I'll run through them quickly for you because you may not have seen them on the screen for very long. Keris Coley of City of Newport in 1, Molly Roothouse of Stockport in 2, Sophia Wilson of Guildford in 3, Natalie Coogans of West Norfolk in 4, Emily Wood of Oxford 5, Freya Anson of Ellesmere. A lot of these names you'll have heard we mentioned already yesterday, are back for some more. And Rosanna Arnold of Thanet goes in 7, and Tatiana Belonogoff of Guildford goes in lane number 8. Now, as opposed to the last one, which was a bit of a procession until the end, it's a bit of a tighter affair with Freya Anson getting to the wall just first, 33.54.
I know Alan Birch has got high hopes of Freya Anson. She came as a bit of a freestyler, and it's very unique to actually have somebody that can do freestyle and breaststroke. Normally breaststrokers are a breed of their own, and they can only do breaststroke, and if you see them in a warm-up, you think, how on earth do you swim at all? Because the freestyle is terrible. But Freya Anson actually is very good at a lot of disciplines, and she's certainly doing very well on this opening 100 metres of the breaststroke in heat number 2. Interesting what time she turns in.
A nice economy of stroke as well. It's not over fancy, it's not overly flashy, it's not got a kind of an over exuberance, if you like, in the pool. She does it in a nice rudimentary way, and she's leading by quite a distance at 100.
Yes, certainly is. She does have that nice glide. When you certainly look later on to somebody like Molly Renshaw, she has such a super long glide, but she's so powerful on her stroke. She's very, very efficient. You're seeing something not quite to that level of Freya Anson, but she does have a nice, efficient stroke, and she is leading this heat number 2. She's being challenged by the swimmer out in lane number 1. She's not going to be able to see her, but she has a sizable lead.
Yeah, the lead is still 2.5 just about over Keris Coley of City of Newport. And you're right, she's on the far side of the pool, so Freya will not have a clue where the threat is coming from. It is certainly coming from Keris Coley in lane number 1. There's a split. You can just about see Keris on the far side. We're obviously concentrating on the lead at the moment, but she may not be the leader for much longer because Keris Coley is coming right alongside, and they're separated by 5 lanes. Keris Coley and Freya Anson. Freya might just hold on, but there's not going to be much in it. They're going to go to the wall pretty much together. Anson getting there just by about half a second in the end. Freya Anson 2:32.00, and second going to Keris Coley 2:32.52. That must be a nightmare because you absolutely got no idea till you get to the very end. You cannot see peripheral vision between lanes 6 and 1. You can't see that, can you?
No, and certainly on breaststroke, when you are just focused on looking forward, where on freestyle you are looking across the lane, so you will be able to get some perspective of where you are within the race. But it's only on turns, and you shouldn't really be looking underwater. So yeah, it's certainly not going to be able to see 5 lanes apart.
Molly Roothouse was disqualified in that race, by the way. Freya Anson, Keris Coley, and Emily Wood in third, 2:33.82. That's your 1, 2, 3 in the women's 200 breaststroke heat number 2.
Mentioned it a lot this morning already, but these juniors are stepping up and really knocking off sizable chunks from their entry times, which you would expect. It's a big competition. It is a big deal to swim at a competition where you can qualify or certainly get a nomination time for the Olympic Games. And these girls and certainly the boys in the previous event are starting to step up and show the selectors, show the talent ID people that are sitting in the crowd what they're made of.
And of course they're looking to try and get in the junior final if they possibly can tonight, because there are 3 finals. The Tokyo talent. Looking forward to 2020 final as well, and the senior final. So these juniors are trying to get into that first final of the evening in their stroke, in their respective events. We've got Richard Wilson of Derwentshire going in 1, All Adams of Geary in 2, 3, Neem Robinson of Pioneer, Hayley Monteith of Edinburgh fastest in this field, in this heat, certainly on paper anyway, goes in 4, Laura Kinley of Loughborough goes in 5, Katie Robertson of South Ayrshire 6, Rachel Taylor, Sunderland 7, and Constance Dean of Maidenhead in lane number 8. And after the first 50, All Adams just in front, 34.04.
Yeah, smidgen in front, 0.2 ahead. The swimmer from Loughborough University, Laura Kinley. And she's still going very well. Look, All Adams, at 75 metres. She saw a great swim from Hannah Miley. Swim at the same club, so that would have given her a lot of confidence coming into this event this morning.
Well, we know how much Hannah's breaststroke has improved over the years, and now she does it as of right. And All Adams will still turn in first place. She was at first at 50. She's first at 100. 113.02 for her. Katie Monteith in second place, and third to Laura Kinley of Loughborough as they go down this part of the pool for the second time.
It does look like Hayley Monteith from Edinburgh University is starting to really challenge that lead. But All Adams certainly holding on in there in lane number 2. You'd expect them to be the slower swimmers on the outside of the pool, but she's certainly taking this third heat to the fastest swimmers in the central lanes.
They have one of the smallest pools in the country, don't they, Geary? It's certainly not 50, it's not 25. It's some sort of strange configuration, isn't it? But she's doing all right. She's doing very well, in fact. And so too now is Laura Kinley, who's coming back into the mix in lane number 5 alongside Hayley Monteith. They're going to be the 3 going to the wall pretty much together. But having said that, also Katie Robertson coming into the mix from South Ayrshire as well. Now, can All Adams hold on? That's the question. I don't think she can, because Hayley Monteith is coming through very, very strongly in lane number 4. Monteith's going to get there before Orla, and certainly ahead of Laura Kinley. Winning time is 2:32.16 for Hayley Monteith. Second place, the front runner for the most part, All Adams, 2:32.71. And third for Laura Kinley. Very closely grouped, and we have a DQ. Katie Robertson has not got a time. Unfortunately, the South Ayrshire swimmer, she's been DQ'd, but the other 7 all finishing with times.
2:32.16 from Hayley Monteith, Edinburgh University. A smidgen slower than Freya Anson from Ellesmere College in the previous heat. So she still is the fastest swimmer so far with 3:32.00.
Right, now, mentioned Hannah Miley. Here she is, going in heat number 4 of the 200 breaststroke. She's not the fastest in this field, though. Georgia Coates is, in terms of her entry time. Lucy Bean of Guildford goes in 1. Corrie Scott, Edinburgh in 2. Geary's Hannah Miley goes in 3. Georgia Coates of City Leeds 4. Katie Matt, Stockport 5. Loughborough's Abby Wood 6, Amy Bell of City of Sheffield in 7, and Emma Day of Loughborough in lane number 8.
Seen lots of these swimmers already this week. A lot of the swimmers were doing the 400 medley last night. Emma Day in lane number 8, Abby Wood lane number 6, Georgia Coates, Hannah Miley. It's interesting to look at Georgia Coates. When we spoke about her a lot yesterday, real potential. She's done a lot in the junior ranks, and now she's starting to make that transition. She entered the 200 metres freestyle yesterday, came in the top 4, down to the selections where they're going to take a relay team for that event, pulled out of the 400 medley, and now she's back doing the 200 metres breaststroke. So a wide range of events for Georgia Coates at this meet.
Katie Matz is having a very good swim here for Stockport Metro in lane number 5, and it will be she and Corrie Scott in lane 2. Look at Corrie Scott go as well, just coming into the mix there in lane number 2, but it will be Katie Matz who will get to the halfway stage in front in 1:10.62. Second, 1:11.00 for Corrie Scott, and third place to Georgia Coates at the moment. Hannah Miley not showing, but she will now.
You do have to wind Hannah Miley up. She does get going over the last half of the race. You'd expect Corrie Scott, she is more of a 100-metre breaststroker, so you expect her to be up there challenging at the halfway stage, but she's still doing very, very well. It doesn't look like anybody is challenging Katie Matz from Stockport Metros. She's going to come into the 150-metre mark slightly ahead. Corrie Scott is holding on very, very well, in fact, only 0.6 behind Katie Matz from Stockport Metro. And Georgia Coates in third with Hannah Miley in fourth.
Well, 3 groups on 150 there. Hardly anything to choose between Corrie Scott and Georgia Coates and Hannah Miley. And they're now trying to reel in Katie Matz, who's been leading us all the way through. But Georgia Coates has other ideas here, as does Hannah Miley. Lanes 3 and 4 coming right alongside Katie Matz, who's starting to run out of juice a little bit here. Georgia Coates, however, is not. Hannah Miley's racing her. Katie Matz hanging on for the best that she can. She's going to get second if she can, and she will get second behind Georgia Coates. 2:28.66. Good, nice, solid heat swim for Georgia Coates. 2:28.66 from her. Katie Matz second, 2:29.16, and Hannah Miley in third place, 2:29.36. So 3 under the 2:30 mark. We're talking about the 2:30 kind of being what we're looking for here, and a bit better. Well, we've got 3 under 2:30 there.
Yeah, certainly have. You would probably expect them to. There's 4 of them in that race that had all been under 2:30 before. And if they want to get into the consideration time, it's 2:22. So
yeah,
a big drop needed for tonight. I don't really expect any of those swimmers to be able to drop that far if they want to be in consideration. But who knows? Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I was thinking though 2:30 in the heat is, you know, decent and give you a good chance of progressing in the evening. If you're looking at 2:32, 2:33, you're probably not going to knock that amount of time off. But here we go, the last heat of the 200 breaststroke for women. Actually, we have 6, I beg your pardon. We have 1 more to come after this. And this one contains Megan Morrison of Loughborough, Cara Hanlon of Edinburgh, Olivia White of Edinburgh 2, Chloe Tutton of City of Cardiff in 4, Layla Black of City of Leeds, Georgina Evans of Liverpool in 6, Beth Aitchison of Loughborough in 7, and Erin Robertson of South Ayrshire going in lane number 8. They have completed the 50, and the first one there is Chloe Tutton in 33.36.
It certainly is a lovely stroke, actually, from Chloe Tutton. See there on the screen, comes nice and high out of the water, long glide, a really powerful kick. So you need for a 200 metres breaststroke. We talk a lot about efficiency, and the more efficient a swimmer can be, the better their results are going to be. You know, it's not about who can do the most amount of strokes or who can make the most amount of splash. It's about efficiency and being a smooth swimmer and gliding through that water with ease. And that's exactly what she's doing. For the opening 100, Chloe Tutton turning in 1:10.65. Over a second ahead of second place.
But look at them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a line, all behind. It's like sharks waiting for the bait, but they're not close enough to get that bait right now because all of them are separated by only tenths of a second, but they haven't yet got into the slipstream of Chloe Tutton, who's done a very good job over the first 150. So where is the challenge going to come from? It could well be coming from lane number 2 from Cara Hanlon, who's getting close to her, and that will be the 1-2 at 150. Third place, Olivia White. Chloe Tutton, 1:49.62. She on course for a 2:30, well, or better than 2:30 here.
Yeah, 0.9 over the rest of the field. And she is the quickest on paper in this heat, and she's certainly showing that. She's quickest by some distance as well, by nearly a second. And she certainly is going to form. So 15 metres to go to close out heat number 5 with 1 heat to go. And we'll see Molly Renshaw in the next heat.
Well, how far inside 2:30 could she possibly be here? Could she get a 2:28, something like that? 2:28.10, she does. Chloe Tutton, well done. Another sub 2:30 swim as we get from Layla Black. 2:29.73 for her, and Olivia White not quite making the 2:30, 2:30.11 for her, but good, solid swim by Chloe Tutton of 2:28.10. One more to come when we get to the last heat. That's confirmation of heat number 5. 2:28, 2:29, and a 2:30 in the mix there. In fact, quite a few 2:30s in the mix. Now, this should be the fastest heat of the lot. Now, what's Molly Renshaw got in the locker? What's her PB, Ross, before I send you downstairs?
So Molly Renshaw is the British record holder, 2:23.82. She does have to do a sizable chunk to get that consideration time for the Rio Olympic Games. The time that she hopefully will ideally do if she's going to do that 2:22, placed very, very well in last year's World Championships within the medals. So it's an incredibly tough time if she wants to be considered for the Olympic Games.
And she's not having it all her own way at the moment. She is being tracked by Emma Kane of Millfield, and Molly Renshaw, and also Jocelyn Elliott of Loughborough in second place at that turn. But this should all be about Molly Renshaw against the clock. Hopefully get a nice comfortable qualification for the final, and she'll be looking 2 lanes up from where she is at Jocelyn Elliott. They're both Loughborough teammates, so she'll know what she can do. Molly striking out very nicely, very controlled swim from her at the moment, just keeping everything in place and keeping everything balanced. She hits the 100 mark, 1:10.69. Comfortable advantage, not a winnable one yet over Jocelyn Elliott, but I'm keeping an eye on lane number 2 because Catherine Johnson has other ideas. Catherine Johnson of Edinburgh is really starting to go. We've seen her for Scotland. We're seeing it in a Scottish pool in Glasgow now, and Catherine Johnson is looking very, very good indeed in lane number 2, but as she does that, stroke rate increases and the intensity increases from Molly Renshaw in lane number 4. Molly has led at 50 and 100, will lead at 150. Gap of about a second over Jocelyn Elliott, who's still holding on to second place. Catherine Johnson up into third. See what she's got in the final 50. We know what Molly Renshaw's got in the final 50. She is the British record holder at 2:23. Does anybody get anywhere near that this morning? We have some 2:29s. So Molly will be looking to be the quickest in the pool this morning. This is a very impressive swim. Molly Renshaw really has started to push things over this last 50. We are looking at a very, very decent time. 2:25 maybe. Yes, good, very good. Nice heat swim for Molly Renshaw. 2:25.84. That was rapid from her. Second place, Jocelyn Elliott in 2:28.97. Well, she's taken a couple of swimmers along to really good times here. 2:30.72 from Emma Kane in third place. Everybody made it back. Everybody has a confirmed time, and I'll give you the 1:08 in terms of making it through to the final when I can. Molly Renshaw fastest by quite some way though. 2:25.84 for Molly Renshaw. Very impressive stuff. And here comes the summary. Renshaw, Tutton, Coates, Elliott, Matts, Miley, Black and Scott all making it through to the final of the 200 breaststroke later on today.
Well, Molly Renshaw, current British record holder, narrowly missed out on London 2012 Olympic Games, so she was out in force today. A great swim from her.
Yeah, she looked absolutely fantastic, didn't she?
Yeah.
2:25, the fastest qualifier going into tonight's final, and she does have to do a sizable chunk if she wants to get under that consideration time for the Rio Olympic Games. But what a story. You know, she did the time 4 years ago at the wrong time.
She was way out in front there, wasn't she, across the field?
A beautiful stroke, you know, so long and so smooth, and it did look incredibly easy for her this morning. 2:25, got to knock 3 seconds off tonight.
Yeah, so she's definitely got a point to prove. She wants to make the qualification time to be nominated, which she'll find out, of course, on Thursday next week, which seems like a long time anyway to wait, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. You know, they've done the time here, and then they've got to wait for all the boxes to be ticked. But it's just one of those formalities that have to be done because it's being selected by the British Olympic Association and not by British Swimming. So fantastic swim from her.
And of course, you know that feeling, Ross. You know, qualifying for an Olympic Games, what must that be like?
You know, I think Cassie said it's
Go
like
on, relive
it's
your
like
youth, relive your youth.
Well, I remember. Like Cassie said yesterday, it's like all your Christmases coming at once.
Yeah.
It's something that you've trained for 4, 8, 12 years, and this is the pinnacle of anybody's career. And to go there and to represent your country in Olympic Games, it's just a fantastic achievement.
Okay, well, let's carry on with the action. Ross, you run upstairs. I'll hand you back over to Ross and Bob.
Thank you, Hannah. As we get ready for the men's 100 backstroke, which is the next event on the program. 800 free to come later on, with the likes of Jazz Carlin involved, and we'll see Kerry-Anne Payne as well. But before we get to all that, we'll see the 100 backstroke. We'll see the likes of Liam Tancock and Chris Walker-Hebben in the later heats. We'll start with the youngsters. Seen Sam Budd already. He's back again for more from City of Sheffield. Benjamin Stagg, Ryan Reeder and Liam White, and also William Gain. Make sure they're all in there. We have 5 swimmers. Yeah, they're all in the pool, including William Gain of Nova Centurion, which wasn't on your graphic there. So Sheffield, Mount Kelly, City of Derby and Exeter City and Nova are the clubs represented here. 2 green caps of Exeter and Nova side by side, but a really fast start by the City of Sheffield swimmer on the far side, Sam Budd. And at the moment, he and William Gain will look to be at the front of the field. William Gain might just get there first, not much between them yet. 27.8 for William Gain of Nova Centurion. Second, Liam White and Sam Budd of City of Sheffield on the far side. Remember, these are looking realistically at a junior final later on today, and maybe prospects for Tokyo 2020 as well. William Gain's had a good first 50, he's had a good second 50 as well. And looks like he's going to come in to touch ahead of Sam Budd. Going to get there for second, I think he is. Yeah, just. William Gain, 58.46 for the Nova Centurion swimmer. Second place to Sam Budd, 58.75. So all but one going sub-minute there. Ryan Reeder, the only one not to. Good times in terms of their development. And winning time 58.46 for William Gain of Nova Centurion. On to heat number 2, all lined up. Just waiting for confirmation of heat 1 at the moment. There we go, all done. And we have the 1 to 8 for heat number 2, which will read like that. That's your clubs, that's your names. We'll see what they could do in the 100 backstroke. Welcome back, Ross.
Thank you. It's not, you know, being in the studio next to Hannah, it's a hardship. It's a lot. It's not more relaxing to be here.
When you're sitting next to a bag of spanners like that, it must be terrible.
I know. Back to the action.
Mason Jacks of City of Sunderland, Joseph Small, don't laugh at your own jokes. Velsmere in 2, Jake Dixon of City of Birmingham in 3, James Eddy of Wickham in 4, Jacob Jackson of Ellesmere in 5, Daniel Hall of Leeds in 6, Jacob Greenough is back again from Taunton Dean in 7, and Nicholas Pyle of Newcastle. They're getting towards the 35-metre mark, so you better say something.
Yeah, well, it's hard to call, isn't it? They're all in the line. Looks like 7 swimmers going into underneath the backstroke flags, and have to look on the scoreboard to see who's separating them. And it is actually Nicholas Powell in lane number 8 from Newcastle, 27.86, that turns first. An incredibly tight race.
Yeah, this is going to be quite a hard one to call until they come down to the flags just below us. Might get more of an idea, because Mason Jacks is having a good swim for Sunderland on the far side as well. And we could have Sunderland in the outside lane, Newcastle on this side. And it's going to be maybe between them, but also a good finish from Joseph Small. But it will be Nicholas Pyle, who's gone coast to coast. Gone from the start to the finish in first place. 58.08 for Nicholas Pyle. Second place eventually going to James Eddy of Wickham District. And third to Daniel Hall of Leeds. That's Nicholas Pyle with the win of 58.08.
Yeah, over a second improvement on his entry time. Lane 8, that's the way to swim it. Outside burner, no one can see you. You get in, you lead from the front, you touch the wall first, and the best thing about it is you're the first one to get out.
Yeah. That's the incentive. Now on to the next one, and we have a little fan club for one of the swimmers right in front of us here. Might have heard them shout, "Come on, Harry." I think they're probably referring to Henry Chesterman, aren't they? In lane number 6. There isn't a Harry in our lineup, but Henry's close enough. Of Millfield. That's your lineup 1 to 8. Heat number 3. Jarrell Murphy of Ealing, Oliver Fitt of St Ives, Thomas Thornley of Bicester, Doncaster Darts, Jarvis Parkinson, James McFadden of Wickham, 5. Henry Chesterman of Millfield, Lewis Clough of City of Salford goes in 7, and Finlay Deans of City of Aberdeen going in lane number 8. I think you might hear some cheering along the way in heat number 3 of the men's 100 backstroke.
Fantastic start from Jarvis Parkinson. We saw him yesterday in the 100 metres breaststroke. Not necessarily his strongest event, the 100 breaststroke. He's back here in the 100 back with a fantastic opening 50 metres from lane number 1. Murphy from Ealing. Looks like he might be no, he doesn't. No, he didn't. From our angle, it looked like he was going to turn first, but it is actually Harry, or Henry Chesterman from Millfield, that's turning first.
Yeah, I was watching Jarrell Murphy, who gets the greatest of starts, but all of a sudden he came flying through, but he's not quite flying with the others at the front just yet. He's right up there. There's about 7 in a line. Only one who's really been dropped is Finlay Deans of City of Aberdeen, and this is going to be, I think, all about the hat of James McFadden rather, getting 57.26 for that winning time. Second to Lewis Clough of the City of Salford, and it is Henry Chesterman of Millfield in 3rd place. A winning time again, 57.26 for James McFadden.
First time we've seen a 57 this morning on the backstroke. It looked incredibly smooth, real still head position, swinging those arms back, rotating from the shoulders. And a great time from James McFadden from Wickham District, 57.26. So that's an improvement by around about 0.8 of a second.
I was told years ago.
How many years ago? A long time ago?
Yeah, but probably before you were born. The whole thing about breaststroke, you should be able to put a tray of drinks on your chest and not spill a drop.
On the backstroke, yes. Yeah. Well, a lot of people actually use the drill of putting a paper cup or a plastic cup on their head and swimming up and down the lane, keeping the cup on their head nice and still.
Yeah, see if, how many of these 8s could have a tray of drinks on their chest and not spill a drop.
Can you do it?
No. Can't say I've ever tried, but I don't think I could.
Just lying down.
The family's in. The family's in. Lane 2. Family's in. William Kersey of Hatfield in 1. Jack Warren Ballard in 2 for University of Stirling. Christopher McComb of Edinburgh in 3. Kieran Beard-Jones in 4 for Stockport. Craig Bowman of Edinburgh in 5. 6, Ethan Harrington. 7, Ross McCafferty of Glasgow, and Kieran Smith in 8. Come on, Jack, in lane number 2, I say.
Well, it turns in 5th position. Certainly not out of it. It's very, very close yet again. There's Beard-Jones from Stockport Metro turning first, 27.34. It is very, very tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, almost all in a line. William
Kersey of Hatfield on the far side is coming through very strongly as well. And that pink cap, is he going to get there before everybody else? No, he's not going to beat the swimmer in lane 6. Ethan Harrington's going to get there first. 57.23 with Craig Bowman not too far adrift, just 11 100s behind. And William Kersey was finishing strongly, and Kieran Smith doesn't get a time. DQ'd. Gone. Sorry, Kieran, not to be today for you. And Ethan Harrington with that winning time, 57.23. How did Jack do in the end? 5th, 57.90. Best swimmer in the family.
Well, if your
don't
standards...
go there. Just don't go there, all right? not too big for a smack around the head.
We've seen a lot of disqualifications this morning.
Yeah.
They're really picking up on it. You know, it doesn't matter what discipline. There's certainly eagle-eyed officials out there.
Yeah, so winning time there, 57.23. Very close between Ethan Harrington and Craig Bowman. But poor Kieran Smith does not go to time. He's come all the way up. Oh, I'm sure he's got other events, but that's just a bit of a downside for him this morning. As we move on to a heat with some big names, and some names have been around for a while, like the likes of Xavier Mohammed and Marco Loughran, for example, who've been there or thereabouts. Let's see whether they can push on here.
Also in lane number 5, Craig McNally from Warren de Bath had a real breakthrough year in 2013 and struggled ever since, but he's more of a 200 metres backstroker, and he comes back like an absolute steam train. So don't expect him to be leading at 50, but expect him to really put on the afterburners and fly back down that second length.
Give you the full lineup right now, which is Otto Putland of City of Cardiff in 1, William Harrison of Bath in 2, Xavier Mohammed now in Cardiff in 3. Has been there for a while now. 4, John Blasinski of Nottingham Leander, Craig McNally 5, Warrington, Marco Loughran in Guildford at 6, Perry Gardner at Plymouth 7, and Edinburgh's Kieran McGuckin goes in lane number 8. This is heat number 5 of the 100 backstroke.
Belinsky is the fastest on paper in this heat, and he's looking like it's going to form. It's very close. It's actually Xavier Mohammed from the City of Cardiff that turns first, 5/100ths of a second faster than Belinsky. Craig McNally out in lane number 5 in 5th position, but expect him to start moving his way through the field.
Well, he is, slowly but surely, but this is an impressive start. Let's see what kind of time it's going to be for Xavier Mohammed. John Blasinski in lane number 4, keeping him company all the way to the wall, but this will be a win for the City of Cardiff and for Xavier Mohammed of 54.89. Marco Loughran in second, 55.42, and John Blasinski of Newcastle in 3rd place in a time of 55.56. Sorry, Nottingham, not Newcastle, Nottingham Leander in 3rd place.
Yes, a really good swim from Xavier Mohammed. Like you said, he's been around for a long time. He was a great junior, went to the European Juniors and smashed loads of records on the medley, and he's not really made that transition as of yet. So this year could be his year, but a great swim to take the first of the fastest heats, 54.89. He's going to have to go sizable quicker tonight in that final if he wants to be anywhere around the consideration time. Remember, there's a medley relay space up for grabs that, when you've got the likes of Adam Peaty flying like he did last night, that medley relay in Rio is going to be a real big contender.
Coming up next on that lineup of swimmers, we have a man who came mighty close to getting a medal in London 2012. Liam Tancock still has all the desire. He's been working very hard to hone things. Swims this race very differently now from how he used to. He's changed his whole technique around in the 100 backstroke under James Gibson, his coach. Let's see what Liam Tancock can do in heat number 6 of the 100 backstroke. Callum Barrett of Loughborough going in 1, Adam Taylor of Sunderland in 2, Charlie Balderson of University of Stirling in 4, mentioned Liam in 5 for Loughborough, another Loughborough swimmer in 5, Joe Elwood, Jonathan Carlisle of City of Sunderland in 6, Daniel Cross of Loughborough in 7, and Daniel Stepton of Barking and Dagenham in lane number 8. How's Liam looking?
Looking really well, used every single inch of that 15 metres underwater. It actually looked like going slightly over, but we won't say anything. But fantastic, and you mentioned it already, Liam has changed the way he swims. You tend to see him in the past, historically, go out as fast as he can and hold on. Now he's actually, as he's maturing and getting older, he's actually worked a lot more on his back end, so his back end is a lot stronger. He still has that raw speed, as you can see. It's such a high stroke rate, and here he is showing his class in heat number 6. He's closely followed by Charlie Balderson, the University of Stirling.
Who's going to get the touch? I think Tancock just ahead of Balderson at the touch. Yeah, it's only 8/100, so between them in the end. Tancock 54.9 compared to 54.98 for Charlie Balderson. 3rd place Joe Elwood, and 4th Jonathan Carlisle. So 2 under 55. Hopefully all those times will be confirmed. He worried me a bit when he said about the 15 metres off the start. Have we got it confirmed yet? Come on. It's confirmed on your board, so that's fine. All good, all clear. 54.90 for Liam Tancock, the winning time. 7 coming up next, the final heat of the 100 backstroke. Just waiting for the results to be taken off the screen before everything can move on. And we could show you the runners and riders for the next heat.
We're waiting for Liam to vacate the pool. He's been around the blocks 1 or 2 times before.
Who's this bloke in lane 4?
Just Chris.
Just Chris.
Just Chris. Can't
Doesn't
say
need
his name,
his surname.
No, I think we saw Liam's class there in the close race. Put his hand on the wall first.
There is the multi-tattooed Chris Walker-Hebben to give him his full title.
His torso reminds me of yours, Bob.
In what universe would that ever be the case? All right, I'll give you the 1, 2, 8. You say some ridiculous things at times. Sam Strawn in 1. For Loughborough 2, Craig McLean of University of Stirling, Joe Patching of Plymouth in 4, Chris Walker-Hebben in 4, 5, Luke Greenbank, Concentrate Bob of Cockermouth in 5, Joseph Hume of Bath in 6, Elliot Clogg, what a great name, from Sheffield in 7, and Brodie Williams of Millfield in lane number 8. He's leaving me to go and see his erstwhile broadcasting partner downstairs, so I'll bring you the conclusion of the 100 backstroke, which you expect to be dominated by Chris Walker-Hebben. Kind of is, because he was leading at 26.05. Now, can he match what Liam Tancock did, or better? Looking very strong and looking very much under control is Chris Walker-Hebben, who's going to win this at a canter very comfortably, and the time will reflect that, I'm sure. Do you know what? He's looking really good. Looking really, really good. 54.20. That was a breeze for Chris Walker-Hebben. Second, Joe Patching. And third place to Joseph Hume in 55.51. But that looked effortless from Chris Walker-Hebben. 54.2. He will be surely thrilled and delighted with that. And we'll give you the 8 who make it through after we get confirmation of the result. And there it is. And I'll give you the 8 who've made it through. We know that Chris Walker-Hebben is the fastest qualifier of the morning. Who are the other 7 that will join him in the final of the 100 backstroke? Here come the details. Xavier Mohammed,
finishing
Liam
5th
Tancock,
in the world last year.
Charlie
Chris
Balderson.
Walker-Hebben, fantastic swim for him. Plenty left in the tank.
Yeah, certainly, especially if you want to go into that consideration time for the Olympic Games, but a very controlled swim here this morning. It's all about getting through the rounds, getting into the final, and it's going to be a fantastic race tonight. You've got Liam Tancock in the race as well, former world record holder and world champion, so it's going to be an exciting
almost like
race.
a veteran to the sport is Liam Tancock. Won his first British Championship medal when he was 15 years old. 15 years ago, similar age to us, Ross. How depressing is that, hey?
What, 15 now? But look, you can see, you can quite clearly see Chris Walker-Hebben, fantastic technique and easing his way through into that final. You know, this is where the mind games now start. Whips his hat off, pretty cool, you know, and not even out of breath.
Yeah, he's done what he needed to do. And I mean, the interesting thing is where we're sat in the studio, we can see all the other swimmers are stood watching the scoreboard. There seems to be, I think, because we had such a great day yesterday of performances and qualification, potential nomination times, I think there's a lot of nerves today, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a big deal. You know, this is the meet that you can qualify for the Olympic Games and the biggest stage that you can ever represent your country on. And you can see them all standing around, looking at the pools, looking at the scoreboard. Yeah. And it's all about who's going to get into that top 8 and who's going to then push on and really impress the selectors to get on that plane to Rio.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get lots and lots of those nomination times. But let's get back to the action.
First heat of the women's 800 meters freestyle. And there will be 6 who will be competing in this. Checking they've all turned up. They are all there. Sophie Millen of Wickham will go in 2. Neem Hofland of Royal Wolverhampton. We've seen quite a few of the names that you saw in the 200 last night. And maybe the 200 in the morning in the heats will be returning in the 800 here. Rose Foden of Northampton goes in 4. Hamilton Waterlooville's Alana Ward in 5. Is Kilbride's Nikki Miller in 6, and Melanie Hall in 7. Now, realistically, all of them in this field are looking to make the junior final tonight, or the target's Tokyo final, possibly. Later on in the proceedings, we'll see Genuine, provided that she can make the time, of course. Medal prospects for the Europeans, and hopefully for the Olympics as well. Jazz Carlin will go at the back end of the program. This is the longest that the women do, apart from obviously the open water at the Olympics. No 1500 in the Olympics, like there's no 800 for men like in the World Championships. There is an 800 and a 15 for both, but when it comes to the Olympics, just the 8 for the women and 15 for the men. First 100 completed, so still quite a way to go, but very solid opening by Sophie Millen of Wickham District, and pacing herself very nicely with a 62.4 for the first 100, and she's looking beautifully high in the water, and the coach, I think, will be very happy with the way that looks. Say Wickham with a new pool now. The old pool been knocked down. The new pool opened a matter of weeks ago, and they'll be hoping to produce lots of very talented swimmers. They have in the past, Simon Burnett being a good case in point. Of course, Simon was our 100 freestyle record holder at the Olympic Games in the 200 freestyle, and made the final in Athens in 2004. And Wickham hoping that there's plenty more on the production line where that came from. And freestyle is definitely one of the strokes they specialise in Wickham. And they've unearthed a good one here in Sophie Millen. I'm impressed by this. Now, if she can keep this going for 800, it's going to be a rapid time by her standards. She is leading by 3 seconds from the rest, and she is looking really, really good. I'm impressed not only by the advantage she's got, the length over the rest of the field, but the fact that she doesn't seem to be easing up at all. And it's smooth as silk from Sophie Millen in lane number 2. Let's see what the advantage is when she comes to 300, which will be the next turn. But yeah, I think those from Wickham watching on pool deck will be immensely impressed by what they're seeing from Sophie Millen here. And that's her 300 turn at 3:17.37. See how big the advantage is over the rest of the field. She's got nearly 5 seconds over Neem Hofland in lane 3. Now, if she keeps up this pace, I'm just saying how aesthetically nice her stroke looks as well.
Yeah, she's looking incredibly smooth, and look at that distance that she's got so far. And looking on the screen now, there's no swimmers in sight in that frame. Wickham is an interesting club for me. They're going through this whole kind of redevelopment, and they've got this brand new 50-metre pool, which is absolutely fantastic. They're knocking the old one down, and they're starting to be a club that's on the move, that's moving forward. They're getting more members, they're getting quality swimmers that are coming to the British Championships, and not only just swimming, but coming here and competing. You can see that now from Sophie Millen in lane number 1. She's 5 seconds ahead at that turn, and that's 5 seconds is equating to around about 8 meters. So she really is taking this opening heat by storm, and really is getting the start sheet, ripping it up and throwing it up in the air and saying, I'll rewrite it for you.
9:07 is her personal best. How big is the gap at 400? It is still, well, it's 4.5 seconds between her and Neem Hofland in second. Nikki Miller is in third place for East Kilbride, but I'm really quite taken with the stroke. It's so economical, and she's just pulling away every time you look.
Yeah, there you can see the distance from first to second and third, and the rest of the field. She really is taking this event, and she still has 7 lengths to go. And we mentioned it yesterday, but when you look either side and you've got nobody around and you can't see your closest competitor, and they are all, you know, within 2 seconds of each other on paper, it gives you so much confidence that you are out in front, and this never happens. This never happens in a race of this quality. Never happens in training. You've always got somebody next to you pushing you on, driving you on, and to be this far ahead really is something that people can only dream of.
Well, I'm looking at everybody behind her working really, really hard, and you can see the amount of splash that they're generating. She's not generating any splash at all. Her arms are hardly generating any splash.
We've mentioned it already this morning about being efficient, and it's not about who can splash the most and who can look like they're trying the hardest. It's not about that. It's about who swims the fastest and who can be the most efficient, and that's especially on an 800 where you've got to reserve your energy levels. You've got to really work on your stroke length. You saw, our greatest ever swimmer, Rebecca Addington. She was an example of that, of being efficient through the water. And she went on. Well, we don't really need to talk too much about what she went on to achieve. And these swimmers would have watched that and now trying to emulate of what she achieved.
5.5 seconds between first and second now. Neem Hofland's having her own race with Nikki Miller, but nobody's getting anywhere near Sophie Millen. Remember, she's never broken 9 minutes before. If she keeps going at this pace, she will be breaking 9 minutes. And, well, I'm not saying coming back to it. It's an appreciable advantage that she still maintains. And actually, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is still 5.5 seconds. We'll find out when the others turn. In fact, it's getting nearer 6. It's getting nearer 6 seconds between first and second. You don't normally see this in the heats.
No, you don't. One thing I will say, she is one of the older swimmers in this event, and certainly when you're younger and you're coming through, that age gap is really important. When you get to the senior level, it doesn't matter if you're 25 or you're 103 like yourself, Bob. That doesn't really make much of a difference, mate, because you have to get there and compete. But at this level, those age gaps does make a difference. But she's showing that she is one of the oldest ones in the heat, and she is taking the heat to everybody else.
All looking good, all looking very comfortable, all looking very much under control for Sophie Millen. She's coming in for what will be her last 100. Here comes the sound of the bell for Sophie Millen. Now that will be music to her ears, you would hope. Now remember, she's never been sub 9 minutes before. She can keep it going, just struggling a little bit now. It looked so smooth before, but I think not quite as smooth now. She's still got a massive advantage over everybody else, so winning the race should not be a problem. But she's not looking quite as secure as she did.
No, it's going to have to be a big push if she's going to go under the 9-minute mark. She's going to have to go around about 66.5, 66.3 if she's going to. Because on the last 100, she's a real big kick. She has been repping around about 35 per 100. She's going to have to come back in 33, sorry, if she's going to get under that 9 minutes. But that would be a 7-second PB. So she's definitely going to go under a lifetime best, or certainly her entry time. But it might not be under the 9-minute mark.
Coming back very, very quickly indeed is Nikki Miller. But Nikki Miller is only going to get at best second place. She's certainly not going to win it. Now, come on, Sophie. Oh, 9:00.75. It is, as you mentioned, a massive personal best, and in the end, only 3/4 of a second outside that 9-minute barrier. Second place going to Nikki Miller, 9:04.63, and Neem Hofland, 9:05.20. It would have been lovely to see her go into the 8 minutes, but she didn't quite make it. But nonetheless, that is a massive PB.
It certainly is. When you improve your entry time by 6.5 seconds, you can't really ask too much more. The coach will analyse the whole 800 metres, the whole 16 lengths, see where she can now make that drop again. As soon as you register a time, it's all about how do you then progress it on to the next competition and the next competition. All about learning. Every single competition you go into is what can you take out of it. It doesn't matter if you swim like Adam Peaty did last night in a world leading time. What can you take out of that and put into your next performance to make you a better athlete?
Oh, I'm sure Kevin's very happy with her at Wickham, and should be off the back of that. As we get on to heat number 2 of the women's 800 metres freestyle, have all 8 lanes occupied for this. Lulu Voss of Hillingdon goes in 1. Sophie Smith back for more in lane 2 from St Thomas. Stockport Metro's Elizabeth Harris goes in 3. Abby Houston of City of Sheffield 4. Annalia Davison of Newcastle 5. Leah Crisp of City of Leeds in 6. Phoebe Griffiths of Ellesmere in 7, and Jessica Thompson of City of Aberdeen. 16 lanes of this Toll Cross pool. They've completed 1, and leading is Sophie Smith at 50.
So the last heat before we get into more of the senior girls, the faster swimmers, the big girls, so to speak. And these girls in this heat will be wanting to challenge for that championship final, or the Target Tokyo or the junior final. So they want another swim. As Bob said earlier, that final will be tomorrow night to give the swimmers a 36-hour rest before or between heats and final.
100 done, and the leader is still Sophie Smith in 62.83. Nearest challenge coming from Annalia Davison of Newcastle. She's in lane 5, and third is Leah Crisp. But unlike the last heat, where there was one person out in front all the way through, it's a much more competitive one because we have pretty much everybody in a line, barring just off the pace Jessica Thompson in lane 8.
The 800, the 1500 for men, it's one of those events that if you overrate it, and by that I mean if your stroke rate's too high early on, you pay massively towards the end. It's a bit like if you were to run a marathon and your first mile was a lot quicker. Yes, you are ahead of your pace and where you want to be, but towards the back end, you really do drop off that cliff, and that's the danger of going out too quick. But then the danger on the flip side of that is not going out quick enough, not being in the race, so that when somebody does make that move, that you can go with them.
Stockport Metro's Sophie Smith. Sophie Smith of St Thomas. It's Elizabeth Harris who's of Stockport Metro, just turning now. But there you go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pretty much in line, just been dropped a little bit now is Elizabeth Harris in 3, but still early stages of this race, still plenty of time to go. It's only the 200 mark, and in the centre lanes are the ones we're looking at for Annalia Davison of Newcastle, having a nice positive swim, as is Sophie Smith, as I mentioned, from St Thomas. And now that turn, it was just Annalia Davison in 2:10.39 at the last touch, and I think she will be turning in first place at 250, and indeed she is.
So we're 25% of the race gone. Get that first 200 metres out of the way, get settled into the race, and now let's start to get into that tactics of pushing between the 200 and the 600 metre mark. That's when a lot of swimmers can break the other swimmers, and then you've got 200 metres to either hang on or to further extend your lead.
Lead being held, and securely held at the moment, by Annalia Davison of Newcastle. See what her time is at the touch on the turn, 3:17.54. So the advantage is around about a second and a half over Abby Houston of City of Sheffield in second place. Third is Leah Crisp, and fourth at that split was Ellesmere Phoebe Griffiths. She's in fourth place. But it's another impressive display. But interesting, just comparing and contrasting the freestyle strokes from the previous heat to this one. It's actually quite more of a kind of rolling gait from Annalia Davison.
Yeah, if you look at somebody like Phoebe Griffiths in lane number 7, a lot more kind of brute force trying to get her through the water, opposed to somebody like Abby Houston in lane number 5, a lot slower stroke rate, and then Annalia Davison from Newcastle, very, very kind of balanced stroke, breathing bilaterally. By that I mean breathing to the left and the right, and she's repping around about 67 seconds per 100. So let's see what the split is at the halfway stage.
4:25.17 for her. The advantage over the rest of the field is substantial. It's nearly 2.5 seconds till Abby Houston touched, and then Leah Crisp in third, and fourth is Phoebe Griffiths. So the 1, 2, 3, 4 not really changing much at the moment. The lead not changing much. Waiting for somebody to make a move. If somebody's going to make a move, maybe it's going to be Abby Houston in 4. And looking on the far side of the pool, Lulu Voss, who impressed us yesterday. Got a lot to do, though, to overhaul Annalia Davison at this stage. Time is starting to run out because it'll be 500 when they come back next time.
there's so many different ways of racing in 800. Certainly when you look back, probably, I don't know how many years ago, but a lot of people used to halve it, so to go to 400 and then have a real strong 400. That kind of tends to have changed over the years, where people then start to break down into 200 meters or 250 meters as they go along, or whether they do it kind of a build-in 300, then a solid 300, and then they've got the last 200 to really put their foot down. And then you see someone like Katie Ledecky from the US that just go for it right from the off. That is so strong, so powerful, and she is just, it's almost like for her a controlled sprint, which is unheard of. Yeah, she is the greatest swimmer that's ever swum this event, and she really has taken the 800 to another level after Becky took it to a high level that it has been for a long time.
It's very interesting considering she wasn't even around in those days, but she's kind of picking up where Kieran Perkins and Brian Hackett were for the men from Australia. They kind of changed the whole face of 800 and 1500 swimming, and she's kind of taking it on for the women.
Yeah, she certainly has, and you just look at what she produces from a 200 all the way up to an 800. And sometimes, you know, even in the 1500, she's just an absolute, you know, machine, and what she can churn out is just unbelievable. And you know, at the minute there's no limitations to how fast she can go, and she's already certainly surpassed a lot of people's expectations of where a female can go in the 800, in the 1500, and even in the 400 meters events.
200 to go then for Annalena Davison. 6:39 is the time, 6:39.90 to be precise, and she's got a sizable advantage still. Keep waiting for somebody to maybe start to make a move. Abby Houston is the most likely. She's the closest, but not getting any closer. That's the problem, as the leader has had that substantial lead for quite some time now, having their little battle behind for the minor placings, but the winner has not really been in doubt for quite some time, unless we're going to see a dramatic burst from Abby Houston here, which I can't see her getting that close. In fact, if anything, I think the lead is extending amazingly. 7:13.74. Abby Wood comes in to touch now on the turn, and again it's 4.5 seconds between first and second. This is a real procession, and Annalena Davison's not worrying about that at all. She's just dominating this race from start to finish.
Yeah, she is. And you look at the splits, it's the first 100, you'd expect to be a lot quicker anyway, but around about 63, then it's 66 high, then 67, 67, 67, 67. Very, very consistent on her splits. And have a look what her split is on the 700 mark with 100 meters to go. You'd expect the last 100 she will pick it up. And again, another 67 on that 100.
Yeah, the gap certainly appreciably is not getting any smaller, and you're right, she's going to now go to those legs and kick a bit harder and try and bring it back just a little bit quicker. She's disappearing out of view. She's Abby Houston, I haven't seen her much apart from when she's turning and they're coming back in a different direction, but this is really impressive. This is a huge, huge lead for Annalena Davison here. 8:21 plays 8:27, over 6 seconds, 6.25 seconds between first and second. The question is now, what kind of time can Annalena Davison do when she finishes the 800? It's going to be impressive. The swim has been impressive. Abby Houston holding on for second place. They're starting to come back at her, but too late now. So where will she stop the clock? Under 9 minutes, that's for certain. 8:52.67. Annalena Davison of Newcastle. Abby Houston not going to quite break that 9 minutes. 9:00.50. Very close to it. Third place, Jessica Thompson. So how are we looking in terms of PBs there, Ross?
Yeah, sizable PB. Entered on an 8:55.22. So yeah, smashing that by 5.5 seconds. 8:52. And you know, we mentioned a splits already, but 63, 66, 67, 67, 67, 67, 67, and then pops in a 65 to end, which you'd expect to go a lot quicker on the last 100. So really consistent paced race, and has come out with a 5.5 second improvement on her entry time.
Very good. 800 freestyle has been very impressive this morning. There's some real landmark swims for the people who've won the races. And let's see what can happen here as we get into the more established swimmers, the names you'll recognise, lots of them on this screen. And I'll go through the full 1 to 8 again for you in just a moment. Meg Finnan of East Kilbride goes in 1. Georgia Darwent of Newcastle 2. Ellie Faulkner, one of our Olympians from 2012, in 3. Kerry-Anne Payne, these days better known for open water, but still a very good 800 metre, and indeed when she gets a chance 1500 metre swimmer as well. Here's Kerry-Anne. Jessica Thielman of Derwentine in 5. Hannah Miley is back. Earlier on in the proceedings she did the 200 breaststroke. She's back for the 800 freestyle. Isabel Griffiths of City of Birmingham in 7, and Katie Reynolds of Burnley in lane number 8. Not always setting the pace at the front, Kerry-Anne Payne. She's biding her time. And Meg Finnan and Georgia Darwent taken out early.
Yeah, Kerry-Anne had a fantastic 200 heat yesterday, making the final in 5th position. Now, this is 50 times shorter than she would like to do in Rio in 10K. She's still got a qualification later on in this year, but she wants to put a good 800 heat in here to get into that final, to push on. Certainly can get close to Jazz, or certainly push Jazz all the way, because if she can secure certainly the consideration time for the 800 or get close to that, it will take the pressure off later on in the open water. But it'd be interesting to see how Jessica Thielman, she does train in the US, and now she's coming back, and it'd really be interesting to see what kind of form she's in. Hannah, we've seen she's a gritty performer, already swam this morning, already got the consideration time last night in the 400 medley. And Ellie Faulkner in the top 4 for the 200 metres last night, so if they do take a relay, she's going to be in the mix. But she's also not putting all her eggs in one basket, and hopefully she can have a solid swim this morning.
Yeah, I was impressed with Ellie yesterday. I thought that she looked good. Looks as strong as I've seen her for quite some time, so that was an impressive swim from her last night. It's not her best event. I think this probably is her best event, so we'll see what she can conjure up from this. This will be the 200 metre mark, and it will still be Georgia Darwent in front in lane number 2 for Newcastle. Second place to Ellie Faulkner alongside her in lane 3, then Kerry-Anne Payne in 3rd place. In fact, the 1, 2, 3, 4 is 2, 3, 4, 5 in terms of lanes at the moment. And just keep an eye on Isabel Griffiths, who's having a decent swim for City of Birmingham in lane number 7.
Yeah, as you would expect, the big girls in the middle, Jessica Thielman. Hannah's a little bit further behind. In lane number 7, Isabel Griffiths is also having a great swim. Kerry-Anne now starting to make her move, starting to edge out in front. Well, she's actually 2nd place behind Eleanor Faulkner, but there's nothing to separate 1st and 2nd. There's 12 100ths of a second. Georgia Darwent from Newcastle is also having a great swim. So it's between those 4 girls at the minute, almost pretty much neck and neck in a line. So what's separating 1 to 4? It is 0.2 of a second. So as you can see, nothing separating those 4 swimmers.
Isabel Griffiths also having a terrific swim for the City of Birmingham, and they'll come up to the 300 mark now. What kind of time will they be looking at? Well, 3:14.03 for Kerry-Anne Payne, 2nd place to Ellie Faulkner, and 3rd Jessica Thielman. This is where Kerry-Anne's 800 pedigree and her 10K pedigree, of course, will really start to take over. But look at them, all 3 in the line.
Yeah, only 1 100th of a second separating Kerry-Anne and Ellie Faulkner. Actually, Ellie is in the lead, but because Kerry-Anne's a little bit taller and got that faster rotation onto the wall, she's actually planting her feet on the wall before Ellie. It'll be interesting to see now who touches first. Again, you can see that Kerry-Anne is behind her, is putting her feet on the wall first because of that faster rotation and getting her feet on the wall. And that's another skill that people can learn, and they can really take on board that. That rotation is completely dead time. You're not going anywhere in that time. If you can increase or certainly decrease the time it takes to get your legs over onto the wall, then it's just going to help you. You can see there, 11 100ths of a second was the difference between Kerry-Anne and Ellie Faulkner.
Kerry-Anne will lead surely here as well. She does, but it's only marginal. We're talking about 17 100ths of a second at halfway here. 4:19.75 place 4:19.92, and Jessica Thielman has now moved up into 3rd place, 4:20.18. It's going to be those 3 battling it out. Good early start for Georgia Darwent, but she's finding the pace a little bit too hard to stick with, and making her way through, as we suspect she might, towards the back end of the race, Hannah Miley, but she's quite a bit adrift of the top 3.
Yeah, the girls are now starting to settle into their pace, repping around about 65s per 100. I'm going to start battling out. They want to have a centre lane tomorrow. And obviously they've got one more heat to come. The likes of Jazz Carlin. If they're going to be in the mix, like I say, pushing Jazz or certainly wanting to beat Jazz, they've got to be close to it. You're not going to be able to do it from an outside lane and doing it all on your own. You've got to have that. You've got to have Jazz or certainly the girls around you to work off and to help you pace and help you drive on. And that's what you can see now. They're all fighting to get into those centre lanes for tomorrow night.
Kerry-Anne Payne over first from Ellie Faulkner. So as you're looking at that picture, the red cap is Kerry-Anne Payne's. The black cap on the far side is that of Ellie Faulkner. And closest to us of those three is Jessica Thielmann, who was just about a couple of seconds, sorry, about almost a second behind Kerry-Anne Payne at that turn. And there's a good old scrap going on here between Ellie Faulkner and Kerry-Anne Payne. Jessica Thielmann not really making any inroads as yet. There's still time for that to happen, but you look at they're virtually over together, but Kerry-Anne Payne just a little bit in front. In fact, exactly half a second separated them at that turn.
Yeah, just look back on the previous two 100, 65-1, 65-3. So again, very, very consistent. They're in that groove now, that 65 seconds, churning it out, and then wait until one of them makes a move, if anybody makes a move at this stage, because like I said, it's all about reserving that energy and recovering as best as you can for that final tomorrow night. But you can see now Kerry-Anne looks like she's made that move, starting to edge out ahead, increasing that lead that she did have from half a second. Now she's increased it more like to 1.1 seconds or just over a second. So you can see that screw starting to be turned by Kerry-Anne Payne in lane number 4.
Yeah, she's up that rate. Remember, she's not going to worry about being that tired. She does 10 Ks, for heaven's sake, so this is a bit of a breeze for her in comparison. I think she found the 200 quite hard going last night after doing a sprint in the morning, another sprint in the evening. It was just a sprint by her standards anyway, was a little bit too much, and she is now starting to dominate the front of this race and opening up a sizable advantage. It's well over a second now. It's getting towards 2 seconds between Kerry-Anne Payne and Ellie Faulkner, and Jessica Thielmann not making the kind of inroads that I suspect she would, but maybe she thinks she's going comfortably enough to make the final.
Yeah, this is not a case of the other swimmers backing off. This is a case of Kerry-Anne turning that screw. And again, I talked about the split, so it was 65-1, 65-3, then 64-2. So she's up that stroke rate, and she's dropped her pace by a second on the previous 100. And then have a look now on that. Again, another 64 seconds for that 100. So she really is laying the hammer down to the rest of the swimmers. She wants to be as close as she can to Jazz tomorrow. And really them two battling it out for that 800-metre British Championship spot. Yeah,
Ellie Faulkner just digging in, make sure that those feet of Kerry-Anne don't move too far away from her. Jessica Thielmann, her race is run. She's not going anywhere at the moment. She's holding on to third place. There's not much challenge for third, but she's losing her grip on the Ellie Faulkner pursuit. And Kerry-Anne is very much in control of this race and has been really for the last 300 metres. She starts to show exactly why she is the class act she has been for so many years in British swimming and continues to be so. Ellie Faulkner, to be fair to her, has not allowed the gap to open up too much. And Kerry-Anne's going to do what she needed to do and do it very comfortably indeed in the penultimate heat of the 800 freestyle. Kerry-Anne comes in a time of 8:38.68. The gap around about 3 seconds between her and Ellie Faulkner, and about the same between second and third as well, with Jessica Thielmann finishing in third place. Hannah Miley's time 8:46.84 in the end for Hannah.
Yeah, great swim from Kerry-Anne. Okay, it's not going to set the world alight right now, but she did the job that she needed to do, and that's all that matters at this stage. Tomorrow night's the night that you really want to start lighting up the field and dropping those times. But Kerry-Anne will be very pleased with that. Looked very, very comfortable, and as we mentioned already, it was that fifth 100 where she really laid that hammer down and she extended her lead, and then it was all about maintaining that lead all the way to the finish.
8:38 the winning time. Jazz Carlin will be noting that. Ellie Faulkner and Jessica Thielmann, hopefully all three of those through, maybe Hannah Miley too, to that final. Tomorrow we'll let you know the top 8 qualifiers when we see the conclusion of this. This being one of our top female swimmers in the pool. Kerry-Anne, of course, in these days, one of our top performers in the open water, though she'll hope to make qualification time and consideration for the Olympic Games as she can. on the 800 freestyle, but Jazz Carlin, I think we've related the story to you many times already. The fact that she competed at the trials for the 2012 games, there was something wrong. She didn't know what was wrong. Talked to her in the mixed zone in 2012. She said, I don't know what's wrong with me. You know, I've had really good sessions. I've trained hard. I was doing okay. And then they found out she had glandular fever. And that, unfortunately, did for her in 2012. So she has even more incentive, Ross, to make things happen in 2016.
Yeah, she certainly does. She's such a nice girl as well. She deserves everything that she's getting at the minute. It's such a, you know, when you look back, it's such a horrible story, but then, you know, like it's already been mentioned before, it gives you that perspective in life, and now when she gets these opportunities, she needs to grab them with both hands. And a lot of people think she's been to Olympic Games before. She hasn't. She obviously missed the home Olympics, and that would never be repeated. You know, you can never, you know, cover up those scars that she would have felt when she was sat and watched the home Olympic Games, when she was seeing Rebecca Addington fighting out for medals on the 800. She'd have seen people that she knows in the crowd and on the team. It would have been a horrible situation for her, but instead of quitting, instead of giving up, she's come back stronger, and now she is within that world-class field of these 800-metre girls. And you know, Becky took this event on so far, and Jazz is only 1.5 seconds behind her now. So it's about seeing how close Jazz can get to Becky's best from 2008, if she can actually surpass that, because she needs to when she gets to the big competitions, when she wants to fight with the likes of Katie Ledecky and some of the other girls. Is you've got to have that speed up front, which we saw last night in the 200, but she also got to have that endurance to be able to find her way through the field and to really have a strong 800.
I'm interested to know about the mindset that Jazz will have, providing she makes, hopefully, that team for Rio, knowing that there is somebody who's so far ahead in the world that you are playing for silver and bronze if you get there. You know, Katie Ledecky is posting ridiculous time. She's the best in the world at 400, best in the world at 800, best in the world at 1500. And you know you go in there, but you're at a disadvantage straight away.
You know, it's a difficult question because, you know, basically, yes, everybody wants to win, and certainly Jazz will want to go to the Olympics with an eye on being the best that she can be, and hopefully her best can be, you know, in that winning position. But if you've got somebody like Katie Ledecky, or certainly in the past with Michael Phelps, Ryan Lochte, they're superhuman, or Ian Thorpe going a bit further back, you know, reputations, you know, it does stand a lot, and she will be standing there behind the blocks, hopefully in Rio, hopefully in the 800, next to Katie Ledecky, saying, you know what, come on, let's give it a go. You saw the difficulties that Jazz had 4 years ago. That can happen to somebody else. With Katie Ledecky, you don't know what happens in the lead up to a competition. She could have the worst case of flu, yet she's standing on the blocks, and you've just got to get rid of those reputations. You've just got to fight. And let's be honest, if Jazz went on to go to the Olympic Games and make the final and come out with a medal, that's a huge success story, and one that she will take right now with two hands.
Absolutely, and not belittling that at all, but it's just that it's so rare that you're in an event like this where somebody is that dominant. It's, you know, you kind of go, right, let's see what I can get out of this, but, you know, realistically, can I make that gold medal? And you're right, if Katie has an off day, and so far she's not ever had an off day as far as I can remember, but maybe she's due one, you never know.
But you saw with Becky took this event on, and she smashed the world record in 2008, and then the rest of the world followed. And then in 2012, you had this young pretender, this 14, 15-year-old that didn't care about reputation. You know, Becky was the Olympic champion, was the world record holder. She didn't care. She just got in and smashed it. And now Katie Ledecky's gone on to take the event forward. And now it's down to the rest of the girls to say, well, that's not where we want the event to finish up. We want to help improve that, and we want to actually really push and see if we can get as close to you, if not beating you.
At the halfway stage, we've been chatting a lot and not telling you what's happening in the race, because not a great deal has happened in terms of changing in position, because Jazz Carlin has got to the front and she's determined to stay there, and there's no reason to suspect that she won't stay there. Lead of around about a second and a half over Camilla Hattersley of the City of Glasgow in the adjoining lane, lane 3, and third at that turn was Holly Hibbert of Stockport Metro. This should all be about Jazz Carlin with 7 lengths to go. She's already on her way back to finish that length, and Camilla Hattersley trying to keep as close as she possibly can, but the gap between the two of them is edging up towards 2 seconds now.
It is, but at the halfway mark, Kerry-Ann's time was 4:19.75 and Jazz's 4:15, so just over 4 seconds faster. So Camilla Hattersley from City of Glasgow is also having a great swim because she's not letting Jazz leave her sight. Jazz will just be going through, hopefully just be going through the motions for her.
Hibbert in third place, and Danielle Huskisson of University of Stirling in fourth place, but it's looking very much under control for Jazz Carlin. She has done the 1500, of course, at the World Championships. Doesn't exist in the Olympic program, but she's done the 2, the 4, the 8 and the 15. I think this is the one she feels most comfortable with and is looking comfortable with it this morning. Lead was about 2 seconds at the last turn. It's around about the same now. Jazz Carlin and Camilla Hattersley separated by 2.03. And Holly Hibbert in third, Daniel Huskisson in fourth, and not much chance at the moment of that changing anytime soon.
No, looking really smooth. Both of these girls, in fact, looking very, very smooth. Camilla Hattersley from City of Glasgow has got an entry time of 3:35.
Or 8:35.
8:35, yeah. 3:35. That'd be quick.
It would be.
Oh, very quick.
That'd be a 400 time, wouldn't it?
Yeah. 8:35.
So it's even quicker than that. Jazz Carlin, though, is in no mood to hang around, and trying to put a little bit more oomph into her stroke there is Camilla Hattersley. You can just see that she's gone to those legs, just powering through. She's getting quite high in the waters, pulling herself out of the water quite high at the moment. Jazz, much more streamlined, much more smooth with 3 to go. I think the gap will be bigger than 2 now, will it? Yeah, it is 2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds between Jazz Carlin and Camilla Hattersley. Holly Hibbert still in third, Daniel Huskisson in fourth, and Alice Deering and Eleanor Jones in fifth and sixth. And next time that she gets up this end, it will be the bell for Jazz Carlin and indeed for Camilla Hattersley in second place. So 100 to go when she turns, this time for Jazz Carlin in the final heat of the 800 freestyle.
Yeah, turns in 7:31, 7:8. So you look back and 2 seconds quicker than the previous heat, so you can really see where Kerry-Ann turned that screw over the 500, the 600 mark, the 700 mark, and that's where she can actually, if he was doing a virtual race, Kerry-Ann would have caught up, or certainly caught some of that distance up to Jazz. But Jazz has that advantage from the first opening 400 metres, and now she has 50 metres to go, and she'll be putting her feet up, getting some carbohydrates, recovering well, getting the fluids in, and then she'll have 36 hours now rest to her final, or the final, not her final.
Yep. Final she'll be involved in, though, and she's going to win this by a comfortable margin. Good swim, though, by Camilla Hattersley. Shouldn't overlook that fact that she hasn't really let Jazz get that far away. It's always been 2.5 seconds in recent times, but Jazz just coming in to finish the final heat of the 800 freestyle, and she does right now in 8:36.92. So the gap was, yeah, almost 2.5 seconds at the end over Camilla Hattersley, but a good swim, nice solid swim from Camilla, who will be hoping to make and will make the final with that time as well, 8:39. Holly Hibbert 8:42.68, and Danielle Huskisson in fourth. Still a few to finish. Last one to come in, Amber Keegan of City of Sheffield is the last one to come in, so they won't be getting out of the pool until she is done, and she touches now in 9:11.82 at the back of the field. So we'll wait for that all to be confirmed. The 8 swimmers will get their time. Shouldn't be any DQs, hopefully. Rarely is in the 800. Jazz Carlin fastest 8:36.92. Camilla Hattersley 8:39.24. Holly Hibbert 8:42.68. Just wait for confirmation of the top 8. The board will revolve very shortly to tell us who has made it through. We know Jazz Carlin has, for definite, and Camilla Hattersley will be in that mix as well. Here we go. Jazz Carlin, Kerry-Ann Payne, Camilla Hattersley, Eleanor Faulkner, Holly Hibbert, Daniel Huskisson, Alice Deering, and Jessica Thielman does make it in 8th place for tomorrow night's final.
Well, what an event that was. Certainly lots to look forward to for the final of the women's 800 metre freestyle tomorrow night. Now, Ross, summarise that event for me there. Were the times that you're expecting, or, I mean, you could see all of the competitors there really fighting to get those central lanes in the final tomorrow night.
Yeah, and I think that was what was evident this morning, was to who wants to be in there with the mix that are going to fight with each other to get that consideration time. It is going to be very, very difficult. But, you know, I was very impressed with Kerry-Ann's race. You know, she really did pace it very, very well. You saw Jazz just going through the motions there this morning, getting a lane for tomorrow night, and that's really all it is about, is getting in with the mix, getting in one of those centre lanes to really have a good crack at that consideration time tomorrow night.
And already we've seen two great performances from Jazz Carlin as well. Last night in the women's 200 metre freestyle, and then today posting a time like that. She is a lady with a mission right now, isn't she? Yeah,
she certainly is. She's got the wrongs to right from 2012, and you know, the 200 last night would have taken a lot out of her. It's a sprint, so it would have damaged her muscles. So coming in this morning and having to produce a time to get her into the centre lanes tomorrow, she's now got that 36 hours time to recover. And you know, we expect big things from Jazz, but there is a lot of pressure on her. There's a lot of pressure. She's not been to an Olympic Games before, and she's now got to stand up and deliver. But you know, what a story it would be if she goes out and smashes it tomorrow night.
Yeah, smashes it. We like that. Now let's talk about tonight. Women's 100 metre backstroke. What's your expectations?
It was close this morning.
It was.
It was close. You know, all the guys that you expect to be in there. You know, Lizzie Simmons, Francesca Halsall did a very, very good swim this morning. Normally see her on the freestyle. They're very, very good friends. But when you get in that pool, they'll be like,
there's no friendship involved at that point, is there, Ross?
Certainly not. So that'll be a really close final, and they've got to drop now another second to get that consideration time. So it's going to be tough, but it's something that they all can do. So it's going to be a really exciting race.
And the men's 200 metre fly.
Yeah, well, you saw Cameron Brodie go out like an absolute rocket, and then started to ease back.
That first 100 was a strong 100 for him, wasn't it? He didn't, like you say, he didn't ease back at all.
It certainly was, out in 55, and then it's probably just going through his game plan. He wants to go through 50% and see how he feels, and then just kind of stepped off the gas a little bit. You know, Jay Elliott, that will be in there with the mix. You know, fantastic swim last night in the 400, and now he's got to back us up on the 200 fly.
Yep, and then, of course, we move on to the women's 200 metre breaststroke. What are you expecting for that?
Well, I thought Molly looked absolutely fantastic this morning. She looked so smooth, just gliding through the water with such ease. She had a turbulent 2012. She was a breakthrough year for her in 2013 when she made the World Championships. 2011, sorry, when she broke the World Championship team. And then she was going into the Olympics, and she did the qualification at the wrong meet.
Yeah, just missed out.
Really, out of technicalities, she didn't go to a home Olympic Games. So she wants to put that the wrongs from 2012 as well. So it'll be a great success story if she can get under that time. But that time is incredibly hard. Yeah.
Now we saw Chris Walker-Hebburn and of course Liam Tancock in the men's 100 metres backstroke. That's yet another event that's going to be fantastic to watch tonight. We had thousands of people watching on the live stream last night all around the world. What are you going to expect from the men's 100 backstroke tonight?
It is a splash and dash, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, not quite as much as the 50 freestyle, but you know, you've got the experience of Liam Tancock that's been to 2 Olympic Games before, against the emerging talent of Chris Walker. He seems to have been around forever, but the last 4 years he's started to step up each year.
Getting a PB last year as well.
He got a PB last year, he went to the Commonwealth Games, delivered, went to the World Championship, starts to deliver, and there's a big potential on that medley relay in the Olympic Games to be successful. So they're all going to be fighting to get onto that team to then fight who can be on the medley relay. So it's going to be an incredible race. You've got the experience of Liam, is 30 plus something, against the, I say young pretender, he's not that young, but in Walker-Hebburn. So it's going to be good. It's going to be a good race.
It's certainly going to be great. So thank you very much, Ross, for joining me. You're going to be back with me again tonight, which is fantastic to get your expertise and your experience, because you know you've done this time and time again as a previous Olympian. I'm not going to say current, I'm going to say previous, and he hates that. Listen, thank you very much to everybody at home for watching and joining us for the live stream. Tonight, the action is going to kick off at 6:20. Now, if it's anything to go by, last night's action tonight is going to be fantastic. So set the alarms on your phone. See you at 6:20 tonight. Action starts at 6:30 right here live from Tollcross International Swimming Centre for day 2 of the British Swimming Championships 2016. We'll see you tonight. Bye-bye.